going to find out that jumping on is a lot easier than jumping off.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in again. Back to the old ThinkStopper episode. I think we're at 19 now. I think this is 19.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's slowly climbing up there, but we are back at it. We had the last one was with Randall Thompson. We did the I did the tarot card reading. That was pretty fun. I thought there was some good energy on that. Got a good pop on the old Steam It, so that's good. But yeah, here we are. I'm back again. It's your boy Trez, and we're sitting here again. I got Mikey.
Yo, we're back.
Yeah,
it's always good to be back.
Fuck. Yeah, we're not too big on the official particulars, but how's things been going for you, Mike?
Oh, it's the same old stuff, man. Just running crazy. Got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, and do we got any good bail bondsman stories from the last time?
No, it's been just the same old stuff. I mean, just a couple crazy clients. You know, weird. We had a lady that was I don't know if I talked about this. Did I talk about last week? The lady who has the quadriplegic husband. Did I tell you about that one?
The big fat guy?
No, this was this guy was so he was in a motorcycle accident, paralyzed from like the neck down, and he got a big settlement from, I think it was Kawasaki or something. You know, one of the motorcycle blew up while he was riding it.
Wow.
And they found the manufacturer liable for it, and he got a big chunk of money. I think they settled for like $10 million.
Ooh.
And this was in like the late 90s, right? Mm-hmm. So he marries this stripper girl because he had a caretaker who was taking him to the strip clubs, whatever.
Nice.
So he marries a stripper, you know, typical Vegas story, you know, rich guy marries stripper, right? And she kind of manipulates the situation to where she's his wife now, and she's now the caretaker. She gets rid of everybody that was there before she got there. Ooh. So she could be in control of all the finances. Now, basically, she's a millionaire.
And now he's got bed sores.
Well, but here's what happened.
He's not getting properly rotated.
He's not getting rotated. He's not getting taken care of. He's being highly neglected. She's not letting his siblings check on him the way that, like, you know, that they want to. So the one sister was able to say, hey, you know, there's been a lot of robberies in the area. I think you guys should put security cameras on the house. She's able to tap in and monitor the security cameras from her phone. And she all of a sudden, she finds out that there's a lot of men coming and going. She's got this dude tucked away in the back room of the house. They live in like a big house. It's like 8,000 square feet, right? So
you saying that's not a big house?
No, I'm saying it's a big ass house.
I was going to say, that's a big fucking
big
house.
Custom house. And she's got him tucked away like in the far wing, you know, down to the left. And it's far from the front door. You know what I mean? It's almost like a guest room by the garage.
She fucking got him out in the casita.
Exactly, pretty much. It's like what do you call it? The maid's quarters, right?
Fuck.
And it's got like its own private kitchenette and shit. So I mean, it literally is like the.
Where do I get one of those?
Just blow that Kawasaki up on your nuts.
Yeah,
you know what
fuck
I mean?
that. No, never mind.
So they see all these men coming and going. Basically, they figure out that she's cheating on the guy, and you know she's a shitty caretaker, whatever, whatnot. Bottom line, she leaves town for like a couple days, and I guess this is something she's done a lot. But she leaves him home alone.
Whoa.
So he's not being fed. He's not being, he's shitting on himself and all this crazy shit.
Wow.
So the sister like checks the tapes, and then she realizes, oh shit, he's been home alone for like 4 or 5 days.
Jesus.
So she calls the police get involved, and they're like, well, you said you're the caretaker, you've neglected this person, whatever. And she gets arrested. Mm-hmm. Okay. For, I forget the exact term, but it was a neglect charge. And it turns out she was actually gone for 9 days.
Fuck. And that's jeez,
Yeah,
dude.
so she abandoned this dude for like 9 days, bro.
Fuck, I always joke about, like, you know, when people are on vacation, they're like, yeah, we had to get away from the kids. I'm like, oh, did you leave a bowl out?
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, she literally did, dude.
So she left this dude for like 9 days, dude, and they arrested her when she got home, and it was a big ordeal. And you know, the dude has a phone, like he has like a whole. It's kind of like a laptop situation that's on his chair. If he can get to his chair, he could call out, but he couldn't get to the chair. And you know, the sister, we bailed her out.
That's when you're like thinking Kill Bill, dude. Just fucking focus on wiggling the toe.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like fucking gain it back.
So the sister looks up the court records and sees that my company bailed the girl out, and she called me like to ask me why, and I was like, I don't know the details. You know, when I get the call, I just read the charges, I meet the customer, I post the bond. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, she's like cussing me out. She's like, you're a piece of shit, and you're in on it with them, and I'm gonna get charges pressed on you. And I'm like, listen, lady, I don't know the details. So she tells me the story. 9 times out of 10, I'm like, I don't want to know the story. You know, I don't want to know the details, because now I got to live with knowing the details. So she bails this dude out, or her boyfriend over bailed the dude out. Bro, they fucking, when she gets out of jail, she's so mad that she thinks he called the cops on her. Dude, she wheeled him outside.
Oh, wow.
And just put him in the street, dude, and just left him there and told his family, come pick him up. I'm filing for divorce, and I'm keeping the house.
Wow. Can she do that? Because he's a person of needs.
I don't know. It's a big ordeal, dude. So
Fucking gold digging ass bitches, dude.
I'm not even like really like supposed to meddle in the business, you know what I mean? But the sister's like, I'll keep you updated. And I was like, you really don't have to. You know, I'm just a third party that's in and out. I have minimal involvement in this.
But I do enjoy a good story.
But I'd like to hear that he's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the end, so that's
I'd like
kind
to
of
see
like
that. I'd like to hear that broad get her good comeuppance.
Yeah. So
you know?
she's so bottom line, she's living in this big ass house now somewhere here in town, and the family had to come into town, pick this dude up. His finances are like fucked up, of course.
Wow.
And you know, he's been married to this girl for like 10 years.
Oh, she's done tricked it off. Yeah, dude. Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, and
she's got shit whittled away, dude.
yeah, and she's been living with this dude, or this dude's been like mooching off of it too. I don't know if it's
yeah.
I don't know if it's a pimp situation or just a boyfriend that's like just shady and doesn't care. You know, I didn't get that far into the story, but that's kind of like one of the crazier bail situations I've been involved in, dude.
Oh
like,
man, we're gonna have to do a follow up on that action.
yeah,
dude.
so I don't know. It was more sad than anything. I just was like, man, that's
It is sad, dude. It's
like, how
fucking
the
brutal.
fuck do you treat someone like that over money? Like, it's just money. I mean, I know people like material items and shit, but
Dude,
in the end, you basically like abandoned your fucking all your whatever morals you did have
yeah,
for
man.
some material items and fucking off this dude's life. And you know, the sister told me, like you said, like the bed, so like he's in bad shape, you know, and they found out that he had a broken hip, you know, and it's been broken for a long time, and it was causing him to go like septic
Oh my god!
because he like fell out of the bed or something. And,
How you feel? She was this is abuse. This is fucking.
Yeah.
You know what is it? The fucking the nurse abuse or whatever they do with the old folks and shit like that. You know.
and the you know, it was part of that because, you know, when he got the settlement, they set up like a trust, so the money gets distributed not all at once or something like that. You know what I mean? And it was to pay for, you know, that $10 million was to pay for his
Yeah,
care.
dude. That wasn't to go off and.
It wasn't to
Trick
fucking
off.
have like a fucking, you know, Maserati and a Bentley in the garage. It was to make sure this dude was properly cared for forever. You know, so they bought this big ass house and blah 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 blah. And so it was just an interesting story, man. It was one of the crazier ones that I've come across.
You seem affected by it, but. Well, shit, dude. Let's fucking. Let's kind of.
Swerve off of that.
Yeah, let's liven up the mood here just a little bit. I mean,
You ask, I tell.
Yeah, no, sure. Everybody that's listening, I'm like, fuck. But no, I get it, dude. That's pretty, you know, it's pretty harsh that, you know, people just have no consideration for human life, or just, you know, I mean, dude, somebody that's trapped in their body it's like a physical, you know, it's a prison.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna treat them like a fuck. Man, that's really harsh, dude. But you know, hey, better and brighter days, think positive, get out of that fucking deal. But guys, and we got a special guest here who's been patiently sitting in the cut. This gentleman is a very funny individual, somebody that I enjoy thoroughly watching his comedy, but he's been on stage with Russel Peters and Dave Attel, and I mean the list just goes on and on. I think I met him the first time I met him was at Edwin San Juan's at Las Vegas Live here in Las Vegas, but or at Planet Hollywood. But very funny dude, and all over the place, man. You're pretty. You seem to be a pretty well traveled and busy guy. But guys, I'd like to welcome Yoshi Obayashi.
There you go.
Yeah, I said it right. Okay. Yeah. For some reason, I want to throw an N in the front. Obayashi, but it's Obayashi.
Obayashi,
right?
yeah. Pretty common name. Mike, I have to say, I guess we met last week, right? Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why you want to have me on the show, because everything you told me was it was so fucking interesting to me, and you told me a story about a guy. I don't know if you're okay talking about it, but you were talking about one of your co-worker falling asleep.
Yeah, the narcoleptic bounty hunter, man.
Did you talk about that in the show?
No, did I ever tell you about that? That's an older story, but
no, I've never heard that.
Yeah, that's
narcoleptic bounty. Did he get fired from fucking working with dog or what?
No. He was. There was a. You want to dive into it real quick? I don't want to jump.
No. I want to hear it.
So
you want to?
So
I have something to add on top of that.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, we were. You brought up a funny. We were talking about it, but so the story goes. We had this guy it was a husband and wife, and they had both missed court. Right, we bailed them out, and they were both in warrant. They were both running from me, and I checked the court records, and I saw that another bail bonds office had the husband out on bail as well. And so usually in that situation, what I'll do is I'll reach out to them.
Wait, he has two different bonds?
Yeah, he was out on a couple of different cases at the same time.
I didn't know you could do on. Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and so normally what they'll do. So what people do is when they're out on bail with one bondsman, they don't want the bondsman to know that they went back to jail.
Yeah.
So they'll call another bail bonds company because they're afraid the first company will revoke their bond. Because what we're allowed to do is if you're in jail, I could just go to the jail and it's called in custody bond surrender, and I can get off my bond.
Yeah.
I could just say here's the paperwork. I want my bond revoked, and so it'll show in the system. It'll show the new charges, and then my charges will go back in.
Right.
And the criminals know that. They're smart. They know, like, okay, well, I better go to a different bondsman. And at least if they don't catch it in the first day that I'm here, I'll be out before they catch it, and then whatever. And then so this guy misses court, and him and his wife, that I bailed them both out for. I think when I bailed them out, they were like passed out in their car at a fast food restaurant. So they got like the DUI and the whatever sleeping, whatever. Yeah. What is it called? Loitering and a vagrancy charge.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
They charge you with that for being, but the crazy thing is that's actually the responsible thing to do. You know what I mean? Like, we're fucked up.
Is it true that all you need to do is take your keys out of the ignition?
I'm not an expert on that, but I've heard people say that, and I've heard people say, like, if the keys are like in the trunk.
I've heard that too, yeah.
But I think it's officer discretion. You know what I mean? But if you get pulled over and you're sleeping, or if you're sleeping in your car and they find you with, like, these people were idiots. They had like Xanax in the cup holder.
Yeah.
There's drugs all over the car. But before they were even woken up, the cops like, look.
That's probably why they're passed out.
Yeah, so
fucking zannied out.
This story starts with two people passed out and ends with one person passed out.
Yeah.
So I reach out to this other bonding company. I'm like, hey, you got this guy bailed out. I don't know where they're at. If you have any information, let's share information. Let's work together, and we'll round these people up. So the guy's like, okay, cool. So a couple of weeks go by, and I get a tip from someone that was working with me that, hey, we found them, and they're running one of those like rub and tug massage parlors over by the Can room. And I'm like, okay, cool. So they're there, and she's like, yeah, the wife's running she's running the reception desk, and he's with her. He's like hiding out nearby. So none of my group, like none of the people I work with were able to help me out at the time, because it was like, we're going right now. So I call the other guy, and he's like, yeah, I got me and my buddy here. we'll meet up with you and we'll do a little surveillance and see if they come and go from the building. And if they do, we'll run in and grab them. So we sit outside for about 45 minutes. It wasn't like a long surveillance. We were trying to get this done, and we knew she was inside. And the guy was like, well, if it's just her, you're on your own because I don't have anything to do with her. And I'm like, that's fine, but I think he's in there. She comes outside, smokes a cigarette. So we're like, okay, there she is for sure. And then we see her yell back inside to someone. And I'm like, look, she's talking to someone in the door. You know how kind of like you go outside the front door, but you're like holding a cigarette out the front door type of deal. And like your head's in and out, whatever. So that's what she was doing.
By the way, I'm glad she's a polite criminal that she doesn't smoke in the house.
Yes.
That's nice of her too.
Well, it's a massage parlor, so you want to
okay.
keep the smell nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like this dank, stenchy bail bonds office.
Well, it was.
So we go in there and we're talking, and the guy brings the one guy, and so he had introduced me. He's like, "This is so and so," and he works with me, and he's my bounty hunter, and so it's just the three of us. So we walk inside the massage parlor, and she had never met me, so she doesn't know what I look like. So I'm just talking to her about like, what are the services offered, and acting like a customer. And we're like, the other guy, the other bail bonds, he's like, "You got a bathroom I can use?" She's like, "Yeah, it's down the hall to the left or whatever." He kind of snoops around. He's like, gives me the like the head shake no, like no one else is here. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. Like, let's just take her to, like, fuck it, it's over. So I'm like, hey, I'm Mike from the bail bonds office. And she like drops her jaw. She's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, you missed court. We found you. You got to come with us. You're going to jail. Right when that happens, we hear some like rustling in the back room. And I'm like, okay, fuck, whatever. And let me back up. I skipped a whole important part of the story. When the guy gave me the no, he's like, I'm going to go outside and smoke a cigarette, which means he was going to go out to the back. In case anyone ran out the back, he'd be in the back alley to grab him. Mm-hmm. So now it's just me and this new guy that I don't know. I've never met him before. I don't even know like his name really. Like, I just met this dude in the parking lot. So me and him are in there, and I hear the rustling around, and I'm like, fuck.
It's just you two.
It's just me and this other guy. And I'm like talking to her. Like, I have her in handcuffs already. Like, I already have her in handcuffs. And I'm like, where's your husband? I need to find your husband. This is, a big part of the deal.
Are these white people, Asian people?
She's Asian, and he's black.
Okay.
And I'm like, where's your husband? Whatever.
What age group?
About 27. I think 27 and 30.
Okay.
So they're younger.
Young,
a lot younger than me. You know what I mean? And I hate fighting like young. He's like 27. She's like 30. He's like, last thing I want to do is
I
fight.
get sore moving furniture.
But because she's Asian, she probably looked like 18.
Exactly. You said it, not me. He could say that. So I hear the rustling around, so I bolt down the hallway. And as I'm bolting down the hallway, I see the dude pop out. He's going for the back door. Then he charges at me. We end up getting in like a fist fight and we're wrestling around and whatever. And I go to yell for the dude to help me, and he's passed out against the wall. He's fucking full-blown sleeping, like to the point where he's snoring against the wall, like fucking.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm yelling his fucking name. I can't remember his name. Like, I still don't remember his name. I think it was like Casey or fucking Ken or something like that. And I'm like yelling his name. I'm like, help, dude. I'm like fucking full
Should
blown.
be KO.
Yeah, KO.
Knock
So I'm
out.
full blown like in a fight with this dude. Like, we're wrestling. He's reaching for a gun. There's a gun in his waistband. I'm like trying to push the gun away. When I push the gun away, he's like headbutting the side of my head. So we get to the back of the hallway when I'm able to like bump the back door open. You know what I mean? And fucking, as I bump the back door open, the guy that was out back waiting to see if anyone run out, he comes in, helps me handcuff him. And right when that happens, the fucking narcoleptic just wakes up. And he goes, like, no one's even in that front room anymore. The Asian girl's like by us. She's kicking me in the stomach and shit. She jumped in. All of a sudden, this dude across the room wakes up and he just goes, do you have any idea about the whereabouts of your husband? Because when you're narcoleptic and when you go out and when you come back, you pick up right where you left off.
Yeah.
So
totally.
it's almost like you put a pause in the DVD.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's a pause button. So in his brain, it's almost like the brain doesn't know what fell asleep.
Yeah.
So like we're wrestling, like I'm fucking winded, bro. I'm fucking like out of it. Like I said, I just got in like a fucking like 45-second, 1 minute long wrestling match, which is a lot if you don't do any cardio.
Oh fuck yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? Especially when it's like full adrenaline.
No, 100%, man.
You know what I
Unless
mean?
you're like, unless you have like stress inoculation training, dude. Like,
Yeah, unless you like jump rope every day for 10 minutes. So, like I said, this girl jumped, she ran down, she's kicking me and scratching me, and I'm fighting this dude. There's a gun involved. The other dude comes in, and like I said, this dude just, have you any idea the whereabouts of your husband? Just like cool and just like he was just on time. And I'm like, you motherfucker. So we get them both in handcuffs and whatever. We go back. We were at my old office at the time on Western. And I just remember the whole way back to the office, I just was motherfucking the dude that brought him. I'm like, you piece of shit.
Dude,
you brought a narcoleptic
seriously,
fucking bail
dude.
bondsman with you on a fucking bounty hunt, dude. Like, I could have been murdered in that fucking room. And this dude's like dead asleep. And you're out back. I go, why didn't you send him out back? He goes, well, you know.
Wait,
he falls
this
asleep.
whole time you were talking, was he sleeping too?
I don't know. I don't remember seeing him fall asleep because I was focused on the girl. And he was like kind of like at like my like 5 o'clock. You know what I mean? And then
So was that the wrestling around? Was him passing out?
no, because he was up against the wall. The wrestling around was the dude like grabbing his shit and running, like getting down.
Okay.
Because there was like a beaded curtain and it was like red lit. It was like, you know, like this massage parlor vibe.
Yeah.
You know, like there's like a beaded curtain blocking the hallway. And,
Totally, dude.
you know, there's like the hallways, like, you know, 4 doors, 2 doors on each side. And,
Probably crystals for good energy, dude.
yeah, so, you know, it was just funny because like I just knew he was back there, so I bolted down there assuming this dude's behind me. And he stayed far behind me.
Well,
all
who
the time.
thought this was a good idea to hire him once they knew that he does that? You know,
It was nepotism.
Yeah, it was
He
nepotism,
got the job because his uncle owns the business.
Is that for real? They're related?
No, I don't know. It probably was a good friend situation. It probably was for sure. It had to have been when you look back on it.
Seriously,
Because
dude.
who else would hire this fucking guy and put up with that? I wouldn't put up with that.
School bus driver.
Yeah, that's like the only job he could have.
You know where he should work? Do they have that in Vegas? What is that? The Sleep Country? You know those guys that sells bed in Sacramento? I don't know if that's a national chain, but he should be working for people who sell bed. Like at least he has an excuse sleeping.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be able to tell if he had good rest or not, dude, because he wakes up like, you know what I mean? Like, right.
Conversation. Do you have any idea? I just remember the tone. I was like, do you have any idea?
I would have
the
been pissed, man.
whereabouts of
That's
your
just
husband?
not acceptable. Because worked at the porn shop in the late 90s and early 2000, and sometimes we get robbed, you know, and I mean, I got this shit over here, but you know, 25 stitches catching a shoplifter, and only reason the guy didn't get away when I was finding the guy, my coworker ran back and got a baseball bat and hit him 5 times. He was on PCP.
Oh, wow.
So
where was this, dude?
Seattle.
Up in Seattle? In Seattle or outskirts, city?
No, downtown Seattle, First Avenue, Tavu Video. It's not there anymore, but
First Avenue and what? I think was it,
I don't remember the cross street now, but
is it Grand? Is it like First and Grand, my fuck? Or
not too far from Seneca, maybe, but yeah,
No,
I figured he's smaller than me. I could take this guy on, and I couldn't believe how strong he
The
was.
PCP factor.
I mean, well, of course I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was on PCP.
For sure.
I just figured I could take him, and he just grabbed me 3 times, flipped me over 3 times, and
Well, I was going to say that one thing I've learned, and you don't have the luxury of doing, and in that case, you kind of don't have the luxury of doing unless you physically engage. But
Yeah.
one thing I learned, you know, you don't fight somebody you don't know.
Yeah.
Because they got something nasty waiting for you. 1, 2, if you do know somebody's a bad motherfucker, then you don't want to fight them.
Yeah.
But no, a lot of people have that wrestling pedigree. You know, you would never suspect. And, you know, now everybody's a fucking jujitsu guy, so you don't want to fuck with anybody. But then you got the drug side of it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, you're tapping into different parts of your brain.
we had a guy on PCP one time, and I remember we get to the house, and the girlfriend's like, no, he hasn't lived here in a long time, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, would you mind if we search the house? And she's like, no, that's fine. Come search the house. Well, on the kitchen table was a big pile of men's laundry.
yeah,
You know, and I stuck my hand on it, and it was still warm.
Yeah.
Like it just came out of the dryer. And she was like, yeah, I'm doing his laundry. I kicked him out. And she was really good at making up lies. Like she was
Yeah.
really good at kind of like just
A
on the-
fucking Costanza.
like on the fly lying,
Just-
like covering up. She's like, no, I kicked him out, and I'm just getting his laundry together, and I'm sending it to his mom. And I was like, you know, when someone's really confident in their lie, like you kind of believe them.
Yeah.
You know? And I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
okay.
when they say it like it's firsthand
Like
fucking.
it's legit, you know. I'm like, that makes sense, you know. Like that makes sense, you know. And I'm like, all right. So my boy was upstairs searching the house, and he wasn't there, and we searched the house. And then I'm like, well, I was like, all right, well, fuck, man, I don't know what to do. I was like, I'll just call him. I was like, do you mind? It was like June. It was like hot outside. I was like, I'm just gonna call him, see if anything happens. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. I call his phone number, and then I hear the phone ring, and the phone's on the kitchen counter.
yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, he left his phone here? Like, he's been kicked out for 2 weeks and you still charge his phone and leave it on the counter? And then she got, like, flustered. She didn't know what she was doing. I was like, you're full of shit. I was like, I called her out. I was like, you're fucking lying to me. what the fuck? And I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm like, all right, call a fucking tow truck. We're taking the fucking car. Like they had their car up for collateral. So we call the tow truck. We're waiting for the fucking tow truck to come. Now, mind you, this dude left his phone at home. Wherever he was, he doesn't have his phone.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe he ran out the back, you know, or he's gone. Well, this motherfucker comes pulling up the street in his fucking car. And you remember he was driving like a Ford Ranger, you know, like a single cab Ford Ranger. And my buddy yells, he's here, he's here, he's here. And now he doesn't know we're in like fucking who we are. So he just sees 3 dudes standing outside his girlfriend's house.
Yeah.
And he jumps out like, what the fuck? Well, this fucking dude had a fucking Mac 11 on a fucking sling, and he was ready to fucking start shooting us. And my boy was across the street waiting for the tow truck, and he runs up behind him, starts choking him out. This dude was high on PCP. Dude, he fucked the 3 of us the fuck up.
Oh, man.
Dude, I tased this fucking dude. I had the, you know, the same, like the collapsible baton you were talking about. Dude, I had that around his neck with all my weight. You know, I'm like 250 pounds. You know, choking him out. My buddy gets him in handcuffs. We throw him on the ground. He had the handcuffs behind his back. He was pulling on the handcuffs so much that he started to bleed.
Oh, I could imagine, yeah.
Like he was starting, like, not just like bleed. I'm talking leaking blood. Like he was through the skin and like on the bone.
And they don't feel pain.
No, they don't feel the pain.
dude.
They don't feel pain.
Dude, he started fucking banging his head against the cars in the parking lot. And it was like, that was the first time I ever experienced like PCP. And I remember Metro. I have a picture. I'll show you the picture of everything this dude had on him.
Yeah.
Terrifying. This dude had like 3 guns. And of everything he had, but like I remember he had a fucking slingshot.
That's
too,
why you
and I
don't
was
fuck with people,
like,
man.
that's why
You don't fuck
Like,
with
you
people,
never know
dude.
who's out there?
Dude, I have a guy.
Sometimes you don't have choice though.
Oh, I know.
Sometimes trouble come to you.
No, for sure. That's for sure. But no, I have like friends, dude. I know I'm safe around them because they're fucking walking armed fortress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's, you know, at least 2 guns within or on the body.
No,
You
it
know what
was
I mean?
crazy,
Like it's
bro.
on.
Like, and I remember the cops got there, and the cops were like, it was like an older, gray-haired cop, and he's like, "Hey, man, let me give you a piece of advice, because you seem like you're kind of new to this. Next time this fucking happens, just shoot the fucking guy." He was like, "Don't waste any fucking time. Just fucking kill him. Just put him down." And that's like the 3rd time I've had a cop give me that advice. Like, just fucking shoot the guy.
Well, you can see why they wouldn't fuck around with somebody who's hopped up on some shit because they'll fucking eat your face. You know what I mean? Like,
No, this dude was
Well-
another whole nother animal, dude.
Well, the cops probably could get away with it, but civilian, you know, it might be a little bit complicated. And
That's the correct word, though, because that's all we are. We're not cops.
Yeah,
we
that's
are
true.
just civilians. You know what I mean?
well,
No.
well, then there's the other side, the civil lawsuit.
Yeah.
You know, even the police got to deal with that.
There was another bail bondsman here in town, and they surrounded a guy's house, and the dude ended up smoking himself. Right? The dude just fucking shoots himself in the head, and they go in to confirm that he's dead, and then the guy's wife sued the bail bondsman for fucking causing this guy to kill himself, and they won.
Wow.
They fucking won, dude. So like you said, the civil lawsuit part of it's huge. Like we lose automatically. Wrongful death straight away.
Damn.
one thing I learned from working in, you know, it's not exactly the same thing, but there is some almost like a cousins, you know, like if you have people working at the bar, pawn shop, tattoo parlor, bondsman, like, you know, like
you're
kind of catering to like sometimes people on the edge of the society, you know.
No, total.
So
The fringe.
And not judging because I work in the dope business, do stand up, and I work in that kind of business. So I understand, but I just know anything related to horses, problem. Like PCP was originally horse tranquilizer.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and another extreme.
It would have to be fucking strong as fuck to tranquilize a horse.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So just imagine a horse-sized dosage on a human.
That's correct. And
So what do they do to PCP that makes it so it doesn't tranquilize you? It makes you a fucking lunatic.
Probably the effect it just normally has on the human
Or
body.
is that the coming down part that makes them crazy?
I don't know what it is, but man, the fucker was strong. I was shocked because
Hey, yeah.
I must have 50 pounds on this dude.
Yeah.
And what I find out,
How did you get the gash in the head? Was it being dumped on your head, or did you get hit, or was it just a melee and you really don't know?
he come in, and then you know, after you work in a business file, you have a certain vibe about.
Yeah, you get a look. It's just like when I was bartending, they'd look at somebody and be like, oh, this motherfucker's no good.
Oh, the way he was kind of looking and walking
Shifty.
around. Probably shoplifting something. And he was. But I was standing in front of the door, and they were trying to call cops on him because I just think we have this thing called Hall of Shame where we catch a shoplifter, we take Polaroid pictures,
Right,
and we put an album, right? But I just had this really weird vibe that's this guy's more problem, you know, something about
changes the energy in the air.
the way his eyes, there was something didn't seem quite right.
Mm-hmm.
And I always don't like those guys that always sticking their tongue out, kind of wetting their lips, kind of. It almost like they look like a snake in a way. You know how a snake kind of stick their tongue in, trying to see what's in front of it.
Oh, dude.
It was that kind of like thing that I noticed. Maybe I'm hypersensitive, but anytime they're sticking tongue, like I don't. When women do it, that's sexy, but not guys, you know. So, but anyway, I just had this weird vibe. I was standing in front of the door and told him what's up. Next thing you know, he pushed me across the door. I fly out of the door, and right in front of the door is this wooden pole, and he slammed my head against that. And I didn't realize I was bleeding, and I chased after him and put a chokehold, and he flipped me over 3 times in a row because I tried to choke him 3 times. And on the 3rd time, my coworker finally got a baseball bat. He's not a very big guy, but he swung 5-6 times and hit him 5 times. On the 5th try, he finally went down, but once he almost hit me too, you know. But,
yeah, for sure.
Swinging like a
But I was like, how is it this guy? It's not like he was doing martial art. It was just purely on basis on strength, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I know when somebody doing martial art shit, I'm Asian, you know. But but the way he was just lifting like a bag of potato or something, so he flipped me over 3 times, and like at that point, like I can't let this guy go, you know, because back in those days in Seattle, the street was pretty bad. We don't want to have anyone in the street here like somebody went in, stole, and got away. You know, I can't. It's going to create more problems. So I had to make a point, and yeah, he finally went down. But I didn't realize until I went to the hospital that I was bleeding. You know, I don't know if you could see it. Like, it's not a big deal, but
I see a little
circle.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. That was like 25 stitches, you know. And,
Jesus.
Any kind of cut on the head fucking bleeds profusely. You know, you have all that.
I didn't know I was bleeding until my coworkers said like, "Holy fuck, you're bleeding!" Like, by then cops was there and got him, and
your adrenaline's going, and then also you know it bleeds. Blood's warm as hell. You know.
This is the picture of this dude we caught. Look at all the shit he had on him. That was all on his person, dude. Like that was all shit that was on him.
So we got. I don't even know what some of the. Oh, is that needles?
There's needles.
Okay, he's got needles. He's got a gun. I don't know what that container is.
It's a
wallet.
cologne. It's a cologne bottle that had Vaseline on the top, and beneath the Vaseline was like 6 balloons of heroin.
I see.
Wow. Well, fuck. He's got the spoon. Wallet. Fucking dude. Shitload of keys.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what. There's a bag.
Maybe he was a janitor.
Maybe. What's in the bag underneath the gun?
Let me see it. So I'll tell you what's in this picture. You got shit ton of keys, a pack of cigarettes, a box of heroin, 2 hypodermic needles, a bottle of pills, a wallet, a lighter. There's a Glock on the thing. There's a little blue, or that little thing right there is what had the PCP in it. He's got like a rubber band of credit cards, and then over there you see he's got like that Mac 10.
Oh fuck yeah! I didn't even see that.
See how it's on like a fucking like a lanyard. It's on like a lanyard, and then he's got a fucking rifle with a scope. See the rifle?
Holy
with the
shit!
scope?
I didn't even see that in the fucking.
And then look,
picture,
here's the
dude.
winner though. Look at see the slingshot.
Oh, nice! He had a wrist rocket, dude.
Fucking slingshot. Like the cops were like, "What the fuck? I've never seen a fucking Mac 10, a fucking
wow,
Remington,
bro.
fucking."
The only thing
you know,
missing is like a machete, dude.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was in the car. You know what I mean? Like we just didn't find it.
Fucking ninja star and
But
shit, dude.
all this dope on this dude, bro. This dude was a fucking lunatic. And that's the thing. Like I always when people always tell me like, yeah, I fucking cut this dude off in traffic and almost ran him off the road. Like when people tell me like their road rage stories, I'm like, bro, look at this picture. Imagine if you did that to this fucking guy. You know, this guy is
That's
out there in
insane.
traffic. You never know who's out there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a crazy world. Oh no, you're gonna leave it open. It's getting stuffy in here. Okay. So
it's kind of related thing, but do you remember about maybe 8-10 years ago? I guess right up by Stratosphere, called Naked City, or used to,
yeah, it still is,
and
which is right down the street from
us.
Yeah.
Stone's throw.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a case. This guy served in, I think, both Afghanistan and Iraq, and he was suffering from PTSD, honorable discharge, living right by the neighborhood, and there's a 7-Eleven right by the Stratosphere, right?
Yeah.
And he's paranoid. You know, when they check his apartment, if I remember right, fucking rats, bugs, and like, you know, he was just nice guy, but he was fucked up from the whole experience, right? So he went to 7-Eleven like some really late at night, and there's two, I think they're cholo type guys and like gang guys. They decided to rob this guy. Unfortunately for them, underneath his like a trench coat, some big heavy jacket, he had like assault weapon, handguns,
just ready to go.
Yeah, and he just blasted these two guys away. And they had no chance. You know what I mean? There's two of them, but
highly trained individual
who actually fought in the war, and already
probably
paranoid as it is,
probably just reliving all that shit constantly. So he's just ready to go.
And he just want to go 7-Eleven. I don't know, get a junk food or something. But anyway, I just remember hearing about that story, and I don't think he did any time because those two guys had a really long rap sheet, and also he never had a problem, and they tried to rob him. But you know, the way he reacted was like pretty extreme too. You know, I mean, they
well, we're a carry concealed state. We're an open carry state. You know.
Yeah.
We're also, you know, you have the right to defend and stuff like that. But one of the things is I do know if the bullets are in the back, then that's a big difference if the bullets are in the front.
Yeah. But he shot him a lot.
If the guys are running away.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there was guys who've been legitimately robbed and beat up, but as soon as they pulled out the gun and the people were running the other way and they killed them or even just shot them, then they faced criminal and civil punishment, or, you know, like they had to pay
unless they're cops.
Well, yeah, there's even that, but
yeah,
we got bandit.
Oh,
yep. No, he's good.
But yeah, and then if someone's coming at you or you're in a confrontation, it's a different deal. But even then, you still you still run the risk. You're always going to deal with some type of deal. What's up, bandit?
I guess when I was younger, I was more reckless, but I feel like it was part of my job, you know. And I guess I should have.
Now when you look back, you're like, fuck, what the fuck, dude? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because there was a time where when I used to work at a bar down here in Vegas, and we open carried.
Yeah.
I was in a shit part of town. Actually, it was the Blue Angel Motel, which is no longer anymore, and they had this bar. We had the only bar. We had blind spot. I had a complete blind spot. If somebody wanted to run in and come in and fucking hold up the bar, they could. There's totally blind because you just came in from one side. I couldn't see shit. We didn't have cameras, nothing. We didn't have any locks on the doors.
Yeah.
Shit. But we open carried. You know? All the bars around us got fucking robbed. We never fucking got robbed. You know?
Because people know, right?
Yeah,
they must know. Yeah,
well, that's what I'm saying. In the whole neighborhood, I'm like, probably the people who are fucking robbing the place are hanging out at our spot, and they're like, well, at least we can fucking drink here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They're spending the robbery money at your bar.
Yeah, dude. And there was there used to be down the street from us the El Rodeo.
Yeah,
and people were getting fucking shot up and gutted over there all the time. They're dragging bodies out there. I'm like, I don't know what happened. Fucking dudes is filleted. I don't think the El Rodeo's there anymore.
Where was the El Rodeo at?
It was on Charleston, like
that little stretch of just
shadiness. Yeah, like where the Blue Angel used to be. There was that Chinese restaurant that's still there. It's an iconic place. It's been there forever. But they had like all that. Now it's like a fucking O'Reilly's where the Blue Angel used to be and some shit like that. But
you guys are both from Vegas.
It was a rough town.
I was born and raised here.
Yeah, I was. I've lived here for going on 27 years now.
Crime-wise, do you think Vegas, they're in a better place now? There's less crime? Or?
No. It's out of control here right now.
It is.
I tell everyone all the time, I was like, we live in the real life Gotham City. You know, like we have like regular crime, but then we have like insane,
There's
casino, like people robbing casinos. You know what I mean? Like those casinos are big targets. So you get like these crews that'll come in. We have the armored
The local
truck robberies,
casinos.
the local casinos. There's crazy ass crimes here.
Cannery used to get robbed all the time when I was there.
What was it? We were just talking about it on the last podcast. The dude that robbed the Rolex.
Oh yeah.
Was it the Wynn or the Bellagio? The Wynn was on the
No, it was the
Wynn.
Bellagio.
Was it the
It was
Bellagio?
Did
Yeah,
they
it
get
was.
away?
No, they got
those
caught.
ones.
They got in a foot chase.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I just can't see a scenario.
Some people do. Some people have gotten away.
But
One
odds
guy-
are against you, right?
So
Oh,
check it out.
100%. Yeah, no, but you're like a part of a crew, or you're working with people who can not investigate any further.
One guy robs the Bellagio, right?
Yeah.
He left his motorcycle running outside in the valet. And this was when you used to be able to exit onto Flamingo. Remember, they closed they closed that off now because of it. But they had an exit where you could just exit on Flamingo, and then the freeway is like right there.
Yeah.
So this dude robs the casino cage.
I think I know the story.
Walks in the casino with his full motorcycle helmet on, full.
Yeah.
You can't see his face and everything. And robs the casino, leaves on his motorcycle, totally gets away with it.
They never caught him.
Yeah,
No.
no. Yeah,
Wait a minute.
I know the story. Yep,
So
yep,
then
yep.
here's how he gets caught.
I tell this on the tour all the time.
So he gets caught in some online poker chip trading forum trying to sell the chips. Guess what his fucking name was online? Was it Biker Bandit?
Yeah, no.
That's how they caught him. He was selling the $25,000 chips in a fucking poker, online thing, and his fucking name online was Biker Bandit. And that's how they fucking caught him.
Oh no. There was a guy that fucking they got a sting. I thought it was a different one where because the chips, anything over $500 is microchipped.
Right.
All the ones, so they know if it leaves property. And this dude, one of the guys got away, but they set up like when they were like scanning looking for the chips, they don't know where it goes. They just know if it's off property or if it's on property. And if it goes off property and it comes back on, then they start surveying the person who has it, wherever it's located.
Yeah.
So the dude, somehow when he comes back on, they run it like, dude, the chips are here. What was robbed is back in the building. And somehow, some way, fucking, they put this dude up on a sting with like whatever with a call girl or whatever, what have you. It was a fucking police chick, whatever, posing as a high-end prostitute or whatever, what have you. Calls a service or whatnot. But that's how they rated them. They rated him. But it was a dude who robbed with the motorcycle helmet and shit. But
Yeah,
he got
this
away
guy-
and he comes back.
This guy's name was Tony Carleo, and he stole $1.5 million.
Wow.
And
Because the high denomination chips.
so his dad
You know?
was a judge out here. His dad was Judge Assad.
Whoa!
And that was like the big kicker too, was his dad was a local judge in the municipal court. And I'm trying to find, I'm just skimming through this article, but I think it was Bellagio Bandit or Biker Bandit was his name online. And it's like, bro, what are you doing? You just stole $1.5 million and completely got away with it. If he just would have been like, use
There's
a
nothing
couple
you
here-
can do with those. There's nothing you can do with those chips, dude. Those chips are like those chips when they leave the property and they come back on. And this is how I know. One of the drivers I worked with did a private party, and the dude was staying at the Bellagio, and he gave him am I mistaken? A white chip, which is you have a $1 and a 1,000 white.
Yeah.
But they'll call them the whites, and they're always white and blue. That's the general color. Like a purple is $500, so this is 1,000. But he gave him $1,000 fucking chip for a tip because he didn't have any cash on him. He said just go to the fucking thing and they'll cash it. So because that chip left the property, when my buddy tried to come in and cash it, it was marked down as stolen.
Wow.
So he had to luckily he had all that guy's information because he had to call him and had direct. So he calls the guy and luckily catches that dude on his way down to go to the fucking airport. Had he fucking left, he would have been out that fucking $1,000.
I see.
So the guy comes to the cage and actually vouches for him, and it says yeah, I gave him this, that, and the other thing. Now how they corroborate that story on whether on how they know that guy gave him that $1,000, but apparently that was according to the guy I work with or used to work with, that was what went down. So You're fucked though. I mean, you might be able to pull it off if
Yeah.
you grabbed a bunch of fucking 5s and 25s and
Yeah, it's
100s.
ridiculous.
You know what I mean? But like, you get in that big denomination, especially in a place like the Bellagio, that shit's marked, dude. You know.
Yeah, the crime out here is insane. It's every day there's some crazy. There was just a drive-by shooting out here yesterday. Did you see that? At a near
was-
junior high school, and like 5 kids got shot. You know,
In
I mean, like-
Vegas?
yeah. Yesterday. So I mean, it's insane out here.
Yeah, the home break-ins are crazy. You know,
I guess
a lot of suicides out
I
here.
guess that makes sense because, I walk a lot because I do this sometimes when I'm running out of money, I do medical studies to try, as a human guinea pig, I make money doing that. And quite often I have to be in certain range in my weight, so I have to walk a lot, And this is one of the few cities.
What's the target range for that?
Depends on the studies.
Walking's like one of the best things for you, though.
Yeah, but what's interesting that out of all the cities I've ever walked, this city is always somebody would say, don't walk around this neighborhood. It's like it's been consistently people. Nothing ever has happened, obviously, to me, but I would do stuff like walk from Stratosphere to Santa Fe Casino or something. You know?
Shit.
Holy shit, that kind of walk?
Yeah.
Woo,
Jesus.
that's a fucking jaunt.
hike,
That-
bro.
yeah, that's a fucking stretch.
Well, I mean,
there's a lot of neighborhood that I would say don't go through on their way from the Stratosphere to.
But you know that the main street.
Yeah, it's pretty
diagonal
much
across-
every neighborhood.
damn near,
It's
yeah,
every
dude.
goddamn neighborhood.
Dude, especially when you
but-
get into that Rancho fucking Bonanza area.
Well, you're starting off in Naked City,
Yeah.
so that's your starting point, and you're ending off like you said. You're ending at the Santa Fe, which is a crazy ass neighborhood. There's always shit going on over there. Like,
What's funny is that
That's
about out of all the years I've ever walked in Vegas, and I've walked long distance, nothing ever happened. And I think, I'm stereotyping because I walk in really rough neighborhood and places in Europe. Granted, even the roughest place in Europe is not bad compared to the States because they don't have guns usually. But
They're getting fucking stabbed like,
that's true.
you know what I mean, like crazy over there.
But
And acid throwing now.
I've done many of those walks and nothing really has happened. But I think when you walk middle of the night like I have, I think they're more confused. Like I was walking in Istanbul, Turkey. I was looking for brothel one time.
Nice.
And I couldn't find the place. But everyone in that neighborhood literally looked like Bin Laden. They look like that. But like, I wasn't really worried because I haven't had an issue yet. But when they look at me, they just assume like, oh my God, Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
So they just assume I know martial art. And
You think that's what they're? You think that's why they're not making any advance, or they're?
I
just
mean, I'm
like,
tall enough, so maybe that's the thing. But
or they're like, you know what? He's out here. He must know what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
sometimes
I keep my mouth shut even when they say anything because they would say like, my friend. I just fucking ignore it. Just like in New York, I would ignore it. I remember there was a group of black kids in New York City, like 1 or 2 in the morning one time. I don't know where I was walking, maybe Lower East Side. They're trying to get, I don't know, they were trying to get my attention. I just could ignore them because I know as soon as you stop, it's going to be in bad news,
Yeah.
I remember one guy go, and he spits me and hits me back of my head. It go all the way down to the back of my jacket.
Oh.
But which is fine because when you're dealing with 5 or 6 people,
Yeah, you're fucked.
and all I got was spit, and nobody else saw me experience the humiliation. It's not that bad, really, if you look at bigger picture,
Well, if getting fucking your face stomped in, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean, curb stomping
And,
shit.
and I'm Asian, so it's already flat. So
You
but,
already went a few rounds, huh?
But I walked with my friend in Afghanistan. We were not supposed to, but I think the key is just fake like you know what you're doing, and
Act like you've been there?
You've been there, and act like you know where you're going. Because as soon as they think you're lost, you're in trouble.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like a lot of times what I was mentioning, if you're out there, people see it and they're like, you know what, fucking, he must know where he's at.
Yeah.
Or if you walk around like, oh shit, yeah. I mean, any animal sense will pick up on that. Any predator sense will pick up on.
You're 100% right because
You know,
whether if they're criminals in Japan with Yakuza or wise guys in New York. I don't know what it is about these hardcore criminals. They definitely have a different smell to them, an attitude,
Oh,
they
there's
really
a-
are. They really are animals in a way.
Oh, there's
I
definitely.
don't say that like disrespectfully. Did you have this animal-like aggressiveness about them?
Oh yeah, yeah, and I mean, that psychologically you can break that down as like, this is something that they were raised in as a form of survival,
Yeah.
or there's a the anxiety of like I gotta protect myself. I gotta get them before
Sure.
they get me. That's how like Sammy the Gravano, Sammy the Pit
Yeah,
Bull.
Yeah.
bull.
That's how he was like.
He got Gotti in trouble, right?
Well, yeah, he was the guy. He
The
turned.
snitch.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
snitched. And but if you listen to, or if you ever, I'm a big boxing guy, so I was reading Teddy Atlas's biography, and in there he talks about how he had a gym, Teddy Atlas, and Sammy would come in and want to do the training, and he liked Teddy Atlas's like steadfast, like no bullshit,
Yeah.
fucking hard-nosed approach to things. So he wanted like this lessons and stuff, and he was like, hey, look, I train fucking I train boxers, career fighters. I'm not getting involved with you. And that like turned him on even more, like
Yeah.
somebody finally telling him no, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? But then when he said, fine, I'll train you and stuff, then he like really broke down. He was like, dude, the dude was like really weak inside, and all that muscle and all that aggression and all that fucking killer instinct, for him to do that was to like, just so in his circle, like how he grew up or whatever, so he just wouldn't get fucked with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when it came down to it, dude, I mean, it really wasn't about that shit, dude. It was about fucking self-preservation, because if he was all about, La Familia or whatever the fuck, he would
La
have.
Cosa Nostra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just saying, the
Yeah.
family, he would have went down. He would have gone down with the ship, He would have fucking honored the blood oath. What's crazy in these days and times, how these guys can fucking turn state's evidence and be out there all willy-nilly, and they don't get fucking, I guess they do get zip-zap, but, there's a dude here in town, he does tours. Frank Collada does tours and book signings and shit, dude. Fucking mob hitman turned state's evidence and shit. The only thing is like he decided to, instead of going on underground, he fucking becomes a consultant for Hollywood movies and shit.
What's weird
know?
was I think this was
It's amazing. It's amazing, America. It's amazing, this fucking world.
I think this might have been between 6, 7, 8 years ago. I'm doing show at the Brea Improv, and one of the guy who was doing comedy that night, we were on the stage and whatnot. I forgot his name, but he brought a special friend. You know who he brought at the Brea Improv?
Who?
I regret not taking a picture of him. He brought Henry Hills
Oh wow.
from Goodfellas.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And I think I met him like maybe a year before he passed away or something, But when I met him, like, wow, he's a tiny dude. I mean, he's old, but
Yeah.
but all the things you read about him and all the violence, like, holy shit, he's just an old guy now,
Yeah.
No, totally. Yeah, no. It 100%, I mean, what's crazy about him? Didn't he get busted selling like the boosted satellite dishes and shit like that?
he got in
like
trouble
black,
after he was, what
he
what's
got
the
busted with
program?
like the black boxes
Yeah.
or something, like, selling meth or some shit like that. It was something weird. I remember he was busted.
Look it
O.J.
up.
Simpson got busted selling the boosted satellite dishes
But
too.
don't you think it's kind of like, yeah, you want to get famous and doing stand-up, whatever, but the rush of getting laughs, I'm sure for criminals, it's not about making money. I'm sure it is, but the rush of, getting away with crime.
Yeah, no, getting away with it
Yeah.
is like a thing. There's like a crazy anxiety though with that shit though, Because, like, I have dreams. Like, when I do have dreams, because we were just talking on the last podcast, like, I don't really have dreams unless I go a while without smoking any weed, or I have, like, any kind of, you know, when I'm, like, really sober, then I don't have dreams. But times that I did have dreams where I never, in my dream, committed the crime. It's after the fact, but I committed the crime.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the ultimate tweaker move, like I stole your wallet, but I'm helping you look for it. So I'm helping the cops look for the fucking killer.
Yeah.
But it's me. But I have no recollection or anything. There's like, in my dream, there's no, like, I didn't do the murder, but I am guilty of doing the murder, but I'm also helping the cops. And there's like this crazy anxiety that I get, you know, that I've had this reoccurring dream. I don't want to say it's reoccurring, but I've had it a couple times in my life. But I get this crazy anxiety and this panic attack, and I just remember it's almost like something that you build up in your head, you get real nervous about, or something crazy happens, I always am able to calm it down.
Yeah.
I've always been able to do that in real life, but yeah, man, it's weird. I'll get that build up.
It's like a rush, right? I mean,
well, yeah, and then there was like it's like a power thing. So I could only imagine. Like I feel bad fucking killing moths and shit now, but you know, when I was a kid, you know, there's no problem fucking BB gun shooting birds and stuff. You know what I mean? Like now I feel weird about it, but because I feel like, you know, there's like this energy that, you know, we're all connected and stuff, but at the same time, I'm a meat eater. You know, like
every time you order a burger, you're ordering a hit.
Yeah, you know, hey man, I choked down like a half pound of bacon, and I was like, "Thank you, Lord, for fucking the providing of such a good piece of meat."
It's like the faceless meat, though. You know, like it's a different feeling if you don't see the face or the.
Well, I wouldn't mind hunting. I wouldn't mind trying. I know it'd be strong, but see, here's where I have like next to no feeling for fish. You know what I mean? So I can go
they
fishing.
Got stupid faces. That's why.
I don't know. Well, they'll eat their own. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't really know. It's just fish are just immediate like fight for survival.
Yeah.
You know, might is right. But I'll go fishing all day, dude. I have no problem fucking putting a hook through a fucking fish's head and then using it as bait. You know what I'm saying? Sadly, but yeah, you get it on all fours or it's breathing air, and I'm kind of weird.
Before I forget, Mike, would you mind?
You
because we were talking about before the show, the whole, you know, Waco, and you were telling me a really interesting story. Like I was kind of stunned by what you were telling me.
So yeah, it goes to the Oklahoma City bombing.
Okay.
Which I think they said they did that in retaliation for Waco, right? Wasn't that the connection?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and then in
McVeigh, and who was the other guy?
Terry Nichols.
Terry Nichols, yeah. And then there was like a third guy they had a sketch of that was like drove the van, but then that was left. That's like left out of the fucking deal.
But for a second, let's assume that whoever's listening to this, maybe they don't know anything. So let's talk about in sequence what happened in Waco. Just let the listeners know.
Trez, cover the Waco thing.
Ultimately the Waco, they had the Branch Davidian. They had this thing, and there were these people that lived in their own compound and stuff like that. Long story short, there's more of a connection. There's more of a conspiracy to all this. But long story short, there were these people, and they were.
They're 7-day Adventists?
No, not 7 day. They were. I don't know if they were 7-day Adventists, but they were called Branch Davidians, whatever. And they had a guy who, you know, basically had a harem, had a bunch of girls, and it was like a compound where they're polygamous and stuff like that, and they had a whole bunch of kids. And that was the angle that they played on it and stuff. But there was something else there was something else, child trafficking.
And I think they were trying to arrest them, you know, just like Al Capone. They couldn't really get him, so they're trying to get him for tax evasion. So gun violations, like. They come in. Basically, what it was is our government, the United States government, and Bill Hicks was there, filming live. Was recording at that time of them fucking. He goes. They have binoculars because they moved all the press and everybody. Yeah. He's like, they are burning children right now. And they went in there with tanks and they firebombed the place. Well, all that information and everything that was a part of that deal, and also because there was like. Those people had like dirt on government people because of like
deals that were made to leave them alone and
Yeah.
whatever, or part of, from trafficking drugs and all that stuff. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that's like deep into it. But
It was
that
Bill Clinton's decision to do it, and they had Janet
Yes,
Reno,
Janet
who was
Re-
Attorney General. And to me, what little I remember, they really mishandled because Koresh could have been arrested when he was visiting the town, and they should have arrested him, and they missed him, if I remember.
Well, they wanted to go in there and firebomb and erase everything that they could from in the compound that would
Yeah.
implicate any kind of government collusion or whatever
Yeah.
was going on between certain agencies. And that's what all that stuff that was in the Oklahoma City, the government building that was blown up, that side, all that stuff that was in there, that information was blown up in that.
So,
Really?
Yeah.
so Waco was 94, and Oklahoma City got bombed. That building got bombed in 95. Is
Sounds
that,
about right, yeah.
That's about right, right?
It was but it was in April, if I'm not mistaken, of 95, because I graduated that year.
So, what I was astonished, you
Spring.
actually knew one of the bomber's son.
Terry Nichols' son, Josh, went to the same middle school that I went to.
And so when he got arrested, what grade was he?
We were in 7th grade.
Oh my God!
Can
you imagine?
So we were in 7th grade, and the crazy thing is he had just gotten back from visiting his dad,
Right.
and which is fucking crazy because when you think about it, like his dad had to have been doing some planning.
Right.
Well, there was
you know what I mean, like leading up to this. You know what I mean?
there was like an incident with all these people in another place called Elohim City, and it was like some people that had this government, or had this militia kind of thing, and they were that's where Nichols and these guys, they all kind of like had their little tie-in and collusion and shit was out of. I just remember Elohim City.
Did you ever
Elohim,
meet his dad?
which is supposed to
No.
be the name of God
Yeah.
or like the God's
Yeah.
race, the Elohim.
So I think what it was we were on our spring break
Right.
the week before that,
Yeah.
and I think he went to visit his dad for spring break and then came home.
Right. And how long?
this is like Arlington Road, the movie.
So when he got back, how many days or how many months did it pass before that bombing happened?
I'm trying to think. It was like right then. I'm trying to think like if I could look at the calendar and see, because it was like the bombing happened and
Yeah.
then the next day, like our whole school was like locked down by the FBI.
God damn.
And that was here in Vegas.
Yeah. And they came and took him out of class, and then we didn't see him. Like nobody saw him again for like 5 or 6 years.
Really?
Like he was gone. Like fucking, he just was gone. Not that he was incarcerated, but he just never came back to school after that. You know what I mean? And that was before like social media and, someone leaves, they're gone. And he was gone, man. And then he resurfaced when we were older. I ran back into him.
In school or just?
No, just later, like running around Vegas and, running around. It's a small town when you get to the locals.
But, man, it would have been funny if he was stand-up comic and he just bombed on stage.
Well, that became his nickname, was Bomber.
But
Jeez.
Like that was his.
it
and he
sucks
got in
because
some
I'm sure
legal
he had
trouble.
nothing to do. Obviously, he's only a kid.
Yeah.
But like rest of his life, he have to deal with
He
this
got
shit.
paid. I don't want to throw too much of his personal information out there, but he got paid to do like the big talk shows. I think he did like Geraldo Rivera.
I'm sure, yeah.
And the big, not like Oprah, but like the Geraldo shows and the
No, totally,
all
yeah.
the big, the full circuit, whatever the full,
Yeah.
The
you know,
fucking
and
Sally
so-
Jessies and the fucking Donahues or whatever.
all
you know.
that shit, and I think Geraldo was the big one, and so he made a decent living
Yeah.
just doing these, talk shows that paid like decent money, I guess, for what would be a young kid.
Did you ever talk to him again?
Well, I did talk to him recently. I ran into him and we talked a little bit.
What's recent?
2013,
Oh my God.
2014. He was a grown up, an adult, and
What is he doing now?
we didn't really get into it. He was in a
Demolitions.
little bit of
He's-
controlled demolition.
He's a concrete and demolition guy. You
You ever heard of Tower 7? No, stop. But
He's a part of the Israeli.
and he just we were
art
just
group.
caught up. What I
Yeah.
mean? We just caught up, and
Well,
he was on his way out of town. And he moved.
Did you know are you
Jesus.
are you familiar with the conspiracy that like supposedly the Nichols and McVeigh weren't executed, that they're actually still alive, that was a government operation, McVeigh is actually on record of like telling people this. I think there's like phone record of him telling his sister that, "Don't worry, this is all a deal. I'm a part of a thing." And he was actually, I guess they say that he was what's called sheep dipped, and what that is guys that are in the military, they give them the full, out of the military discharge, be it honorable or dishonorable, but they're actually still enlisted. They're like off the record, but they're doing shit in like these secret ops and stuff like that. And he was talking about it. Supposedly, the conspiracy is that they didn't fucking euthanize him. They fucking knocked him out, whatever, what have you, and
really?
Relocated and stuff like that. I mean, like I said, that's the conspiracy. There's a guy. And I don't know if he goes into it to the extent of it, but he really breaks down McVeigh and Terry Nichols' like lives, like leading up to it. And I don't know I can't remember the ultimate conclusion, unless I'm just regurgitating what he says. Like I can't remember. But James Corbett of the Corbett Report, the guy does amazing work. He's actually the guy that took the facts about 9/11 and condensed it into like a 5-minute, like a 3-minute reel, and it says 9/11, a conspiracy theory, and then he just goes through and he just timelines it, boom, 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 all the stuff like between the laws and everything that happened, that what was trying to be done before, what they were saying before, and then what ends up happening, and he did the same thing with Oklahoma City. The guy does amazing work.
Yeah.
And he's one of these. He's a libertarian guy. He has no end. He calls out both sides, but he was labeled. Him, like many other, and ever since Trump got into office, have been. If anybody is anti-war, doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right, or you're critical of the media machine that's out there right now, then you're a Russian fucking spy or a bot or whatnot. He was labeled on this list, and my friend was like, "Yeah, dude, I used to like that guy till he showed up on this list." And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I go, "Look at everybody on this list." And I can't remember what it was. It was some group, some think tank that come out of nowhere, and they didn't even put their name on it, but they just put out there, "This is an official report, but it's been debunked." I can't remember what it was, but they have a list, and I was like, this is everybody that is critical of the system on both sides.
Yeah.
Like you don't see CNN or MSNBC or anybody, these people who just got caught lying to us. They just got busted again touting the whole Jussie Smollett thing. There's evidence on this dude. There's evidence on there's video of the dudes buying the exact gear. These Nigerian trainers, these actors or whatnot, they were buying all the gear, but they lied about the Covington kids shit. They pimped out a story, weapons of mass destruction, They lied about the housing market, but they're not on this list. That's caused more damage than anything.
That's crazy. No, I just looked up Josh Nichols, and it looks like he got arrested out here last year.
Did you look him up on your...
I just Googled him.
Oh.
I just Googled his name.
Are you hurt that he didn't ask you for your bail
Yes,
service?
I am hurt. I am. Now I'm like, fuck, I'll tell everything now. He didn't fucking... No, I'm just kidding. He probably had no bail because, I don't know, that's crazy. Man, that's nuts, dude.
What was he arrested for?
I'm trying to figure it out. Let's see. It says son of Oklahoma City bombing accomplice arrested. The son of domestic terrorist Terry Nichols has been arrested. The 36-year-old man was taken into custody Tuesday night after a standoff with police and marshals. He was wanted for violating conditions of his probation. Huh. That's crazy. Probably the probation from when I ran into him in 2013.
There you go.
Fuck, man.
Dude.
That's crazy. I mean, he's a good dude. He just had a fucked up. He had a very normal childhood up until that happened.
Of course.
And then when he got thrown into the media circus and fucking, the people were sending him death threats. The families of the bombing, were like, your dad killed my dad. I'm gonna kill you, type shit. You know what I mean? It's fucking crazy, man. Yeah, like right there it says they teased him and named him Bomber. Like that was his nickname. It became his nickname, and he ended up just owning it.
Wow.
But I remember years ago,
what was he like before the whole
dude,
incident?
he wasn't a popular kid. Like I said, he was a more normal kid. He was a bigger kid. bigger, heavy set kid, and he wasn't the popular kid. You know what I mean? He was just a normal.
You got to feel sorry for him, man. How fucking.
Yeah, I mean, just a face in the crowd. You know what I mean? I just remember I used to talk to him because he was one of the only other kids in our school that had Jordans. So we used to just talk about like we had Jordans. You know what I mean? Like, and that was how I knew him. We had some mutual friends, and he hung out with some girls like in the neighborhood he lived in that we tried to hang out with and stuff. But it's crazy, man.
Yeah, that's
got to reach out to him.
Yeah, that's got to be a hard one, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's got to be a hard fucking deal.
But there was an article in the paper about him before I ran into him again, where he fucking drug a cop like a mile.
What?
He got pulled over in traffic, like where Warm Springs and 215 is.
Jeez, dude.
And he drug a cop from like that last residential neighborhood, like all the way up the on ramp of the freeway. So I'm trying to find an older picture.
Wait a minute. What?
Hold on. Wait. Yeah, dude. So I'm trying to find this picture because it was a conspiracy.
So he tried to take off, and the cop just grabbed him and then just kept driving. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, a cop came up to his window and pulled him over, and he like grabbed his arm and took off. So I'm trying to. Like,
why does he think that's a good idea?
He was fucked up, man. He was like I said, he had a
people
crazy
panic,
life.
dude. People panic.
So there was
I panicked. I'm not going to do that to a cop. Come on.
I mean, well, anybody really. I mean, unless you're fearing for your life, but in some cases, man, with a cop, that could be your life too. You don't know what kind of day that dude's having.
There was a third suspect. Remember that they never caught it; just kind of went away.
Yeah, totally.
And so, but the third suspect was like on surveillance in a van
100%.
somewhere where they were buying like fertilizer, right? And they just have a picture of him in the van. And everybody at school was like, dude, that third suspect was Josh because he was out there when they were doing that. And then he came back. So here's a sketch of the suspect. Okay. Now, mind you, he would have been 12 years old at the time. Right. So here's a picture of the sketch of the suspect. Right. Well, there's Josh.
Oh, my God.
And everybody was like, dude, now that's him much older, but look at the squared chin.
The dad goes, son, do you want a summer job?
Look at the big eyebrows.
No, but the thing about
it's like crazy. So like,
they said I think they said it was a Middle Eastern man.
Well, it went away, and the thing was like the people that we talked to, like I didn't know him that well, but we went to school together, and some of the kids in my school knew him a lot better than I did because like I said, I wasn't his friend. I just remember him clearly from the situation more than anything else. And some people said that they fucking confirmed, and again, like just it's all talk, but that the third suspect was him, and they didn't pursue it because he was a juvenile, and they know that he wasn't any part of it. He was just like literally he was visiting like that week.
No, well, I think.
But would that be funny?
I don't think it would be
years later we find out he was the mastermind.
Yeah.
Convinced his dad and his friend to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's a trip, but I remember like it was yesterday. I remember like.
It's like some Twilight Zone fucking manipulative kid that's got like mind control over. But no, well, here's the thing. The ATF were all, before the fucking bomb went off, were already assembled fucking like a quarter mile down the street fucking waiting for shit to go down, to get the call to come down to
It's
the
usually
fucking,
how it goes, isn't it? As weird as that sounds.
they were running drills that day. That's just, and just so happened to be, and I guess there was other bombs that didn't go off. There was bombs in the building that didn't go off.
And here's a weird thing, because I read a lot of books and Middle Eastern stuff, and when that bombing happened in '94, my response was, it's probably a jihadist.
Yeah.
And people back then really didn't talk about Bin Laden and shit like that,
But that shit was going down though.
Yeah.
He was already on the on the watch list and
sure.
shit,
'93, that New York City, the World Trade Center bombing in the garage,
Correct, yeah.
And here's another weird thing. My cousin Linda, when that bombing happened in '93, she was literally like block away. In 2001, she was literally like right there. She just happened to be walking there by work. So after that, she said, fuck this. Because both times she was right there. And she didn't want to have anything to do in New York City after that.
Fuck, man. Yeah. Well, here's an interesting note, though. You were talking about the '93, the bombing. The FBI was actually found guilty in court of fucking being a part of orchestrating that shit and fucking getting the bombs to the fucking dudes to fucking do it. And one of the guys that they tried to hem up with it fucking backs out of the deal, plays all this shit in fucking court, gets exonerated, gets paid like fucking $500K or some shit like that.
Do you remember the guy's name?
I don't, but it's like the it's on it's I have to research it, but it's a popular thing. Well, I won't say it's popular. It's well known in like the conspiracy world.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy fucking he won his case because he had it where the FBI was giving him all these bomb making materials and all stuff, and they said, "Hey, we got it. We got everything you need down here." And he knew it was a setup. And he played along and he taped it and stuff, and he fucking when they tried to pin the crime on him, he fucking played it and got himself off.
Hey, can I go back for Waco for a second?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any of the conspiracy stuff. Oh, I could tell you, I was visiting. We were driving from Dallas to Austin, and Waco was kind of in between or on the way. So I asked my friend, she was driving, like, can we stop for a minute? And I completely forgot how many foreigners were staying at Waco and how many kids, because there's a plaque in the main entrance. I didn't go beyond the entrance. They made this monument, and I think the people who donated the money was something like, I'm 100% wrong, something about Northern Texas militia group, whatever. They made this beautiful monument and plaque for all the people who perished. But I forgot, like, holy fuck, man, there are so many, because they would put name and age next to it. Like, they're just babies and kids.
Lots
No,
of
that's
children,
what I'm saying.
yeah,
Well, no,
families.
totally. And that's one of the things is a lot of people, when you start going in, you look at the violation of their rights, and you look at how it was basically like a war crime that was committed onto those people. And this is a time where they were able to spin it on air, but there was still enough out there, and people were still being able to get it out there.
I just think it was poorly executed. And Koresh, there's stories like he goes to town, I don't know how many times a month, but they could have got him if they, did their homework.
There was something there. Like, it was one of those things that the people that, the powers that be, the people that are in those positions to make these big decisions, these big moves, they will fucking blow up a whole plane full of people just to get one person. People think that's a bunch of bullshit, but dude, when you got everything riding on the line, if you got something that you're trying to alter the course of history and shit, people think that because they would never do that people don't do that. But
like I said,
people do all the time.
I don't know any of the conspiracy stuff. I just know general facts, like,
I mean, it just sounds
where it
crazy
happened,
talking.
what time happened, and these are the supposedly issue that caused that to happen. But all this talk kind of started before the podcast because I'm working on a project, helping a friend in the project. So I want to go to Denver next month, April 20th. 2019's 20th anniversary of those two kids murdering all those people,
Columbine.
Yeah, Columbine. Yeah. And I've been there once, and I'm just kind of curious to see.
That school's still open, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's still.
Wow.
On the
It's
20th,
weird, right?
Yeah, it is.
On the 20th, they have anniversary event, but I think it's only open to the current student and the teachers and administrators that work there, and the former students, and obviously any family
Survivors
member,
and
survivor.
stuff, yeah.
But there's other events like on the April 19th and 18th, like some church have a special service for everyone, and a couple other things, But I can't quite talk about the project I'm helping my friend with, but it's really interesting. Traditionally, there's been shootings at school in America, but those shootings are what I call, or maybe other people call it too, it's a honor-based violence. So in other words, let's say somebody insults your sister in like late 1800s, or did something to your sister, the whole family's gonna come and shoot this fucker, But there was this really, really weird incident. This teacher had sparrow, those birds, swallows, what are birds, right? And he took care of these birds, and it's living at the school. And this is like in Alabama or something like that in 1800s. He told the students, he didn't say, don't mess with the bird, don't kill them. This one idiot kid stomped one of the bird and killed it and left. A couple of days later, he come back. Well, teacher grabbed this kid and took him into a closet, and I'm not joking, he choked him to death, according to Wikipedia, when they had a history of shootings in school, And then next day, I think kid's family showed up and shot the teacher.
Oh wow.
So until I don't remember what year that was, like late 50s, early 60s, the University of Austin, University of Texas at Austin, where that Marine, remember that famous shooter? He was on the tower, started shooting students.
Yeah, right.
From then, it was kind of like they started having all the shootings where they start shooting people at school. But prior to that, it seems like, according to Wikipedia, that there was a lot of this honor based, like somebody saw my sister, or they did something with my brother or something, and they go shoot whoever caused
just basic murders.
Yeah, like honoring the family's name. You know, so that the violence were used to get revenge for this insult, whatever. And what's interesting, quite often, cops kind of see it like, okay, well, maybe it was justified. It was very, they just resolved problem with guns back then, you know. But these days, if you hear shooting at school or whatnot, it's just some mad person.
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy is right now, and I read this in a book a while ago. I think it was called The History of Violence. And it talked about the different times, different eras, and different things about violence. Basically, what it said is like today with our population, we have way less violence than we did way back then, because people would just immediately resort to clubbing somebody over the head and just beating them to death, or
like a civil dispute, but they resorted to violence.
Well, even out here in Vegas, one of the founding people was it was Archibald. What's the fucking his name?
Those names makes me laugh.
But
He shot Jebediah?
His wife's name was Helen, and they founded like Vegas. I can't think of the name.
Stewart.
Stewart. Yeah,
Helen
Archibald
Stewart.
like the guy.
Wow.
He comes. Yeah, he comes in. They kind of get themselves settled over here. They buy their land, or they get their land from Octavio Gas, Decatur Gas. These are names here in Vegas on these streets.
Right outside. Gas.
Yeah.
Right outside.
And he had lost this land. And so, dude, whatever, took it over collateral. Shortly thereafter, he gets Archibald gets in a shootout with somebody. He gets killed, and then Helen fucking leaves. But that's like how dude was like, dude, fuck me over.
Yeah.
He actually cashed in on my ass, dude, and he's fucking talking to his goons. So they go and have a fucking shootout, and they kill him. You know what I mean? And no one goes to fucking jail for it. You know what I mean? Like, so there was like that, but there was like the gin wars way back in the days in England.
Gin is an alcohol?
Yeah, gin. And when that was like a big thing, well, it was all this bootleg and all stuff going around. But gangs of people would just ransack small towns and stuff and go in there. So there's like not that going on. But the sophistication and I want to say there's not as much as that going on, because we have the intimidation of law, and there's like a crab in a bucket kind of thing going on there too.
When you watch these,
but a lot of times, mostly people don't want any violence or anything ultimately in their life. No one really wants to set, but some people are just keyed for it. You know what I mean? Like.
Sometimes when you watch these professional sports, especially like playoff games, you notice the referee, sometimes it's wise then to make a decision based on whether playing. Like, they don't want to make 80, 90,000 people angry with them,
But they do.
They do, but there's time you need to be careful with that stuff, because I was in Salt Lake City yesterday. I think it was Illinois or one of those towns before they settled in Salt Lake City. There's some kind of polygamy case or whatever, but anyway, they ended up lynching one of the founders of Mormons. A bunch of people did it, and I don't think they were responsible for that murder.
Are you talking in recent times? Or?
No. This is like
way back.
Way back. I think wasn't Joseph Smith was lynched, murdered, or shot or something outside of the court because there was some kind of criminal case where they got in trouble in like Illinois or something like 150 years ago.
Well, they
just shot the fucker outside.
Yeah,
both of them, father and son, I think.
Yeah, I forget ultimately like the story, but they were ran out as like charlatans and like all sorts of stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot going on, but supposedly in the Mormon Church, when polygamy was like outlawed across the land or whatnot.
Still practice though.
Well, no, well that's when the Mormon religion splits.
Yeah.
Then you have
Yeah, it says cause of death, gunshot.
Yeah.
to who?
Joseph Smith.
Yeah,
They're
remember he
walking
got
out
shot.
of court, if I remember right, and whoever shot him, I don't
I
know.
thought it was in Missouri where he got killed.
Was it Missouri?
I'm
There was
looking
some
for it.
kind of case in Illinois, but I remember they were walking out and they shot him and no consequences.
Could be. Yeah, well, yeah, I don't think anybody went to jail for that, because everybody was like mob ruled or like, fuck
Yeah.
this guy, right? But here's one of the things a lot of people, and it was kind of brought up, but the Romney family, like him and a bunch of other Mormons, when that fucking happened, their family went down to
Mexico, yes.
And they've been holding it down against the fucking cartels. They got a nice little fucking deal
Stronghold.
carved out.
Yeah.
And they, no one really got it. They practice polygamy supposedly they don't, but that was the whole reason why they moved down there. So I can't imagine them fucking getting rid of that.
My wife's family.
I see nothing wrong with it. I think that's good for the women.
My wife's family
Creates competition.
My wife's great whatever grandfather, his last name was Whipple, and he was the
That's
right hand man to
was-
Brigham Young.
I was gonna say that Whipple's a pretty common name in the Mormon church.
Yeah,
I know two separate ones out here.
And they were big, like they were they were with Brigham Young, and they moved to Mexico too. Mm-hmm. They were fleeing, they didn't want to get fucking Joseph Smith either, so he bounced and took all his wives to Mexico.
Brigham Young was like after that.
Well, I think Brigham Young came back or whatever. I don't remember what the story is, but somehow.
No, he helped settle Salt Lake and all that stuff like that.
Yeah,
He
but
was part of
somehow
that.
the Whipple part of their family ended up down in Mexico.
And then Brigham Young sent a group of Mormons out here, and that's kind of how that had almost like the settlement of ranches and stuff happen in Vegas.
Yes, and that's
And
the
the old
Good
fort,
Springs and
the Mormon fort. Yep.
correct, all that stuff. Not Good Springs. What was it?
No, Good Springs.
No, but what was the other town before Vegas? It
I
was,
kind of like those guys because
There's Panaca.
What?
There's Panaca.
That's a name, actual name.
Yeah, it's a town.
No, what was the other one though? God.
Well, Pioche was named by the Frenchman.
Oh man, it'll come to me. It'll come to me like
What,
usual. An hour
not
later.
not Jean.
It's that way. I forgot. Not Logandale, but it's out that way.
Overton,
Not Overton. One of those
Mesquite, Logandale, Overton.
right next to Mesquite. Right in there. There's one more little town. Whatever.
Fuck, yeah,
Whatever. But yeah, that's where they started at. Because. But yeah,
I know
it's a crazy
what you're
deal.
talking about,
It's a
and I can't think of
but
it right
you know,
now.
Vegas still. The Mormons have a really strong hold here in Vegas too.
I bet.
Oh, the
In
largest.
local politics and the gaming
largest-
control board is forever was lots of Mormons. And
They're like the good old boy network out here, but the Mormons here in Nevada has the largest amount of Mormon population outside of Utah.
Is that right?
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. The
a
only
lot of
reason,
money here.
Yeah, the only reason why this was this state went blue is because of the Democrat influence in the unions down here in the casinos, and
Yeah.
so between unions and union families and stuff like that, voting, that's what tipped the scales.
Oh yeah.
The top,
Every time you have a Democratic candidate, they're always here. It's not like there's a lot of electoral college.
Bunkerville.
But
Bunkerville.
Bunkerville.
Bam.
Sorry.
yeah.
But-
I have to say they're really, really interesting because I remember years ago reading Wall Street Journal, and they said right after Catholic Church, Mormon has the most money after them, which is saying something because they've been
big.
around maybe 200 years, if that much,
But since the early 1800s, I think. Yeah.
So very successful. And they don't bother me because they never harass you.
Well, they-
and if they said, no, I'm not interested, they don't bother you,
They one of the things is their church, and they'll deny it up and down. People that have gotten away from the church, they'll tell you. My uncle, he's very, very big into the church, very, very active in the church, all that stuff like that. Like,
You mean Mormon church?
Mormon church,
Yeah.
yep. And he, I one time before I knew better on when you know about conspiracies and symbolism and different stuff. Before I knew you just can't talk to people about this, I brought it up to my uncle. He got really mad. I don't want to say mad, but he got very frustrated and stuff when I talked about it, and he got defensive, because a lot of the stuff that they do, the rituals, the symbolism that they have within their temple and their whole seal and all stuff is all based off of like a lot of Masonic ritual.
Yep, for sure.
And a lot of them they don't like to admit, but Brigham Young and those guys, if I'm not mistaken, were supposedly Masons. And one of the things, and I don't know because there's got to be some registry on that, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of it. A lot of Masons talk about that too.
But some people they wanted to outright deny it because they didn't want it to have a problem, so they kept asking. But anyways, the stuff that they did for the their whole setup, being within the with the Masonic, they run a really good network. They're always in money. They're always making decisions with money. They're like Jews. They fucking spread the money. They keep the money within their people. They're always trying to give each other their people's jobs. You know what I mean? They're always doing like business and stuff together. Yep. They work really good in that aspect. But at the same time, they're very parasitic. There's a lot of fucking hustlers. There's a lot of people who go in there and really use the faith, use the church and
to self-promote.
To get business, to get these deals. A lot of con men in the Mormon religion. And because you get people in the fields with that whole family vibe.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I will say about the Mormon religion, because I grew up in it, a portion of my life. And they were always good about that. They would take care of their own.
100%.
They'd take care of a little bit around, but if they would treat you according. If you weren't trying to help yourself, then that shit would just fucking end. Like, they weren't giving anybody like a free ride on a lot of stuff. But at the same time, man, just like anything, very fucking hypocritical. You know what I mean? Very hypocritical. And they would, there's the old saying, how do you get a Mormon to stop drinking all your alcohol at your party?
Invite another Mormon.
Invite another Mormon, because they won't do shit around them.
Yeah.
And they were like that, because I have, one of my good buddies, his folks, they were living the whole Mormon life. And the next thing you know, my friends, I hate to fucking out it, but this is a fact, is in the church. But his mom was fucking hooking up with one of the other dads that was a member of the church. And then it like kind of outed other people's shit, and you know what I mean? There's a whole fucking thing going on. That's why I never liked church and organized religion, because I'm like, dude, life's hard enough. You got enough people fucking judging you. Now you got the special group you got to fucking impress.
Sure.
Fuck, dude.
I've done a lot of bail.
Just give me the business deal. Cut the check.
I've done a lot of bail for Mormons. You know what I mean? And
what's the typical crime for them?
A lot of
DUI,
white collar.
domestic violence. Just like everybody else, it's DUIs. But the crazy thing is
a lot of wire fraud.
A lot of
a lot of shady real estate deals.
The biggest con man I ever met, the whole stretch I've been in the bail bond business, was a very affluent Mormon guy. And I remember when I met him, I was like, wow.
What's his fucking name?
I'll tell you off air.
Oh, man.
But he's a fucking, and I remember when
Is
I
he
met
like
him.
a pillar of the community kind of guy?
He used to be, but he was also a government contractor as well. And I remember when I met him.
Probably not the guy I'm thinking of.
He was bailing out his daughter for drug possession. And I remember when I went to his house to meet him, I remember like when he gave me the address and I typed it in, I was like, whoa, like what the fuck? Like this neighborhood's out of control. And I pull up to this mansion, bro, like this fucking huge mansion. And this dude's bailing out his daughter for, like I said, for, drug possession and some other things. And I remember when I met him, I was like, wow, that dude's impressive, man. That dude's really got his shit together. This dude's, I'm happy to meet a guy like this. If in case I ever, this dude owned businesses and just a bunch of shit. Like talking like 20,000 square foot home. You know what I mean? Just a mansion. And
that is huge.
End up bailing out the kid again. Then end up bailing out another one of his kids. His kids, typical, millionaire daddy syndrome. They're doing whatever they want. They're getting in trouble for it, whatever. Then I end up bailing him out.
For what?
For
smacking his kid around?
No. He'd had some crazy like drug possession thing, and he got in he backed into someone at the drugstore. Like he backed into someone, and then he didn't leave, so they called the cops, and then he had a standoff, And it was like a 2-hour-long standoff in his car.
He thought his fucking Mormon garments were gonna get him out of it, dude.
And so, long story short, he was like the craziest dude I ever met, ever. But when I first met him at first glance, before I like pulled the veil back, this was like the most affluent, proper, up and just upstanding citizen.
No,
And
they were the fucking
and
act.
again, like not saying anything bad about the Mormon religion, but like I said, and I know a lot of great practicing Mormons, and they're great people, and like you said, they're always helping each other out. They're always, what are you guys doing? They're going, we got to help someone move, or they're always working with each other and taking food somewhere. Someone in the church needs food, or
usually,
they're always doing that type of stuff. But this one guy, like I said, and I don't base all Mormons off him, but he was the most fucking shadiest standout character I've ever met while I've been in the bail bond business, and that says a lot.
Dude, a lot of the guys I grew up with that were really into the church, they're all dead. They fucking lived that wild life, that rebellion fucking life, and died young. One of them he was living the extreme life, he was doing the big bike jumps, all that kind of shit, and he fucking wrecked and died from that. But he would have been somebody who got all hurt, fucked up on that shit. You know what I mean? Like
it's just a crazy life. It really is.
But Vegas is pretty live, dude. Like they don't tell you that there's just a constant of suicides out here. You know what I mean? Like you don't put that in the commercials or the brochures.
I kind of understand because just like Seattle, Vegas, probably LA too. When you look at Vegas, it's almost like you have a bunch of people moving here. Things are not going well. It's like last place they're hoping to turn their lives around. You
get that a lot.
Seattle, because of course, beside Alaska, it seems like you can't go any further. This is there's a lot of that kind of thing that going on in Seattle or LA, but I could see that like things are not going well. It's almost like they're taking a last gamble, a chance.
You definitely get that. And then another thing out here, and this is actually something I want to actually alludes me to asking you a question. But one of the things out here is the prescription. We're like prescription drug capital of the world, and actually we were like one of the most prescription drug abuse capitals in the world. I used to get.
Is it mainly OxyContin or
it from all across the board? Really, there was a guy in Arizona that got popped, and he was fucking. He had so many people going in and out of his offices.
Yeah.
He had like multiple offices. They said it couldn't have been more than a 30-second wait. I mean, a 30-second office visit. Wow. So they were just going in there and signing whatever they told them they wanted, and they're just fucking cranking them out.
Probably pre-filled.
No, they were writing the scripts.
Yeah.
So they're just fucking going in there, just paying the money and writing whatever. And so, anyways, out here we have a lot of I know this guy. I'd get fucking pills of 500 at a time for just a couple $100. It was ridiculous because he just had this flow. That was all coming from the VA.
Yeah.
And then they cut them all down on those people. And I didn't know until afterwards, And I was getting them for this dude that was really fucked off, But anyways, as it is with a lot of pills and medication stuff, you get depression, you get violent episodes and stuff like that. So you end up having that. I just heard of a heartbreaking story the other day of a young girl who fucking, depression and, she had a bout of threatening with suicide, but she fucking did it. Fucking pulled the trigger, which is unusual for a woman. A woman, but shit, we were talking about something similar.
Yeah.
And then, but so you have that out here. But you said you do clinical studies, and is that correct? Is that the?
Yeah, I've been getting phone calls from this one. I don't want to say the name of the place because they seem like very nice, but they're called CRO, Clinical Research Organization. So anytime you ever see medication or ads for them in magazine or in commercials, any given time before FDA approves it, they have to be tested on animals and people,
Mm-hmm.
And then this place in Vegas, been emailing me, texting me, and calling me for years. Just pure coincidence. When they call me looking for a possible candidate, they call me Friday. I just happen to be here in Vegas today, Monday, and tomorrow. So it just kind of worked out because I'm looking for one to do, and which is not surprising because people are willing to gamble with their money. You go clinical research, gamble your life on it.
Yeah,
know?
100%, dude.
So, but they were nice, and a couple of the people that work in there were very polite. What I thought was strange because I've done medical studies in Southern California, Arizona. Now I'm trying to do Nevada. You know, they take your blood, check your blood pressure, EKG, and see, you know, heart rate's all good and everything. But and they have to take your urine sometimes, you know, to check you're not taking any drugs. This was the first time they sent a guy actually into toilet what you piss into those little bottle. I've seen it in like a comedy shows, you know, but I was like, it was kind of hard for him to piss because there's somebody kind of staring you, make sure.
I had to do it with my fucking my probation officer.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
they'd stand right in the road. Chick too.
So how'd you get into that?
They're not supposed to do that.
I was, prior to that, I was working in a dope business in one of the porn companies. And when I lost it 7 years ago, I noticed last 10 years, I get this card by mail, one of the clinical research place down in Anaheim, you know, looking for anyone born in Japan interested in medical studies. And the reason why they look for Japanese is because we metabolize medication better than any other race.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a fact?
That's a fact, yeah. Because
Wow.
even the lady that I went to clinic today,
Why isn't any reason? I mean,
I don't know. I think sometimes the pharmaceutical company, when they get good candidate to see, I always get this fucking thing confused, you know, like pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic. One have to do with how quickly the medication go in. Another one deal with what that medication does to your body. I always get those two confused. Twitterly and Twitter dumb. You know, I don't know which is what.
yeah.
But for some reason, when
I would think kinetic on what it does, dynamic. But I mean,
a pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic. But some studies, pharmaceuticals specifically, won people born in Japan. And sometimes even Japanese Americans can do it. They said, we want first generation Japanese born in Japan, you know. So we usually get the most money for studies and things like that, you know.
Wow.
And then, so anyway, I did it today.
Now, just real quick, you know, I always go back to like the old Dick Cheney stuff, but you know, you ever think of like they could be like doing like studies for like race-specific bioweapons?
I don't know. I mean, you know, you hear
like sickle cell, like it only affects black people. You know, what's that all about? Like,
they don't need special weapon black people. They already have guns and bullets.
they already got police right now. Sorry, JK.
The police are the ultimate kryptonite for black people.
I thought that was child support.
I mean,
oh
whoa.
shit! I'm going
You know,
to hell, son. I'm going to hell.
Oh, it's funny you say that.
It's fun.
Go to hell.
My friend Tana Manu, who gave a really good speech at the Brody Stevens Memorial, and they were closest, and he gave the best speech.
Oh man, heartbreaking, dude.
And but I remember like 7-8 years ago, he was working in backyard because he does a lot of construction stuff. So he's in backyard. He was building something or fixing a door or something. He's really good at fixing shit, you know. So he's working in backyard, cutting boards, putting stuff together, you know, and whatever the paint you have to put it in to make the nice, right? I remember this one afternoon, he just got back, and he's working in backyard. All of a sudden, fucking cops and FBI agents show up in backyard, pointing at fucking guns at him, and he go like, "What the fuck," you know? And then the first thing popped in my head like, fuck, I should have paid my child support, right? And he thought he was getting arrested by like 30 cops and FBI agents, tell him to get on the fucking floor, and they're pointing gun at him, you know, child support. You know what happened? Eventually, they go through his house, check his computer. They can't find whatever they were looking for. What happened is they tell him somebody was downloading child porn at your place. Like, I don't download.
Shit.
I don't download child porn. He's a comedian too, so he was like, "What? I don't even pay child support. I don't like kids, whatever." You know what happened? His fucking friend was house sitting, and that motherfucker used Tannis Wi-Fi to download child porn.
Oh shit!
You gotta be a fucking piece of shit to go to your friend's house and download. Well, you're a piece of shit downloading child porn as it is.
Yeah,
it's already bad in it. But you go to somebody else's, so they say like, don't you fucking call your friend. We're gonna go to his house, because once they told them, they believed them. So they went and they arrested him, and we never saw what, I don't want to say his name, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, but for a brief minute he was thinking like, fuck, they're really serious about child support.
Yeah, I was gonna say they'll come in with that shit, dude. But no, I was curious if like you're familiar with the VPN.
What's that?
It's like was it the virtual something? It's this thing that you run. I can't think of what the acronym is, but it's this thing that you run. So when you're looking up on stuff, it look like you're from Paris. You're from China. It's a.
They tell you which company it is, who's using it, and then geographically tell you where you use that cell phone, laptop, iPad to research something, right?
Yeah. So they can't track you, so it doesn't say like it's you and your shit. But I was wondering if that story was going to be like it was somebody who was using a VPN and it was masked as his thing, and you know what I mean. But that's even, dude. For some reason, I mean, I don't know. I can't say that I've heard of something like this, but I have heard of some comedians or people within that getting busted. With that, there was actually a comedian that came from Salt Lake through Vegas, and this is way back in the day. Yeah. Well, his name was like Black Forest, Blackshear, not like Vincent Blackshear, but something Blackshire something.
And he's white.
He a white guy, white dude, and he had this. Everything was British, but it was over the top. It was like he was doing an Austin Powers, and the way he was saying it, I'm like, this dude's bullshit. Like everybody, oh no, he's got all this credits and stuff like that. Come to find out, this dude had to like change his identity because he got like in trouble kid diddling in fucking Salt Lake City.
Oh shit. So
like, a little while afterwards, a comedian here was like, oh, I know that fucking guy. Yeah, he goes around in a British, because I submitted for a comedy festival. I submitted a fucking a video, and I didn't even get a rejection or anything like that. It just never contacted me. I followed up, nothing.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, dude, they're like, there was a dude here that did a British accent, that wasn't Brit. Because in my video, I dropped the accent. It's like part of the act.
Yeah.
Like I start off like they don't know. And they're like, yeah, and they know this dude, like, and I was like, how would that keep me fucking, like, the video I sent him was, like, a good video for the time, you know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck, man? But that's how, then he told me, like, this dude was, like, a fucking, a perv,
This is kind of related, but I got banned from Canada for 10 years, from 2005. So I flew up to Canada to do a show with Russel Peters, and either that time there was something going on with Michael Jackson again, but as a joke in my notebook, I had Michael Jackson's favorite child porn titles, right, as a joke. So, Kindergarten Cock, SpongeBob No Pants, 4-Year Virgin, Honey I Fucked the Kids, Wait Till Your Father Get Hard, shit like that, right? As a joke, and I had a bag full of porn DVDs because I used to work for a porn company to take the porn to give to my friends. Well, one reason or another, they pulled me out of the lineup. They checked my stuff. They opened that page. They found the child porn titles and porn DVDs. So they thought I was child pornographers. So like,
oh shit. Dude.
So they went through all the DVDs. Of course, there's no kid in it, but it come down to, it looked like they needed to arrest me, but I really chickened out because I rather admit work in Canada without work visa than even get a whiff of this news getting out saying I might have had child porn. My life would be over. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah, dude.
I just
No matter what
quickly,
you did.
And I don't even like kids, so I quickly agree. Like, I'm working up to Canada, opening for Russel Peters without a work visa, because I could tolerate not going to Canada for 10 years, you know. But yeah, I mean, once they think they could get you for something like that, I mean, it's crazy. That just simply having accusation, you're over. You know, I'm not.
That's the problem. That was the problem with the whole Me Too movement. You know what I mean? Is they took something that was a platform for people who could actually maybe go up and let people know that they were a victim of something, but then they used it as a weapon to just accuse people, and then to make anything like that whole Aziz Ansari thing, just to make anything like a sexual assault, an awkward date. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I gotta say, with the Aziz thing, I read it, and my reaction is I hated him, but I also hated the girl, and I hated the reporter writing it. It was just like clusterfuck, you know? Like, you're a grown-ass woman, so if you don't want to have sex, even though he's nagging at you, don't fucking do it. You're still a doe. And Aziz, you wrote a book on pro-women feminism. Like, Jesus Christ, you wrote a book about that, so you're just going to nag and harass somebody? You know what I mean? And this reporter didn't do an adequate job. It's like, I hated all three of them. Like, after reading that shit, I just want all three of them to get shot to death. It was really fucking annoying, because because
they're all virtue signaling motherfuckers, dude.
I mean,
you know?
I don't want to make light of this, you know, because it's important that women talk. But when you get trivial harassment, do you understand? If you complain about that, people who really had a real rape, you know what I mean? Like, they're kind of trivializing their situation. You know, it's
No, 100%.
that's what I don't. That's what I don't like. And just like this fucking scumbag in Chicago claimed a racial attack, the real people who get killed, you know what I mean? You take. Now people are going to say, like, well, was that a real racist attack? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand why he's not being prosecuted. I haven't read anything about it, but he struck me like he was fucking guilty.
Well, here's the thing: is there's evidence in the. He said, I think it's over. I think there's the powers that be can wash it. A lot of people say no, it's going to go on this federal stuff, the Jussie Smollett stuff. You know,
I do think he's mentally ill, so I do. There's part of me kind of feel bad for the guy, but
well. You know, one of the things that could have all just gone away for him is he could have been like, man, I got a substance abuse problem. I need to go, you know, like I was in a bad spot. It could all just went away. Now, like, there's like craziness going on. There's like, now you have like obstruction of justice, you know, there's like inside corruption, you know, being
I hope his
lobbed
career's
out.
over. I really do.
But the thing that bothers me the most is here you have a guy. Okay, here you have a guy that basically could have incited a race riot across the country, could have really ignited something seriously. The best part about this whole deal is how many fucking like black public speakers or, you know, whatever.
The leaders,
whatever.
The police in Chicago give a really good speech. Like,
but just a lot of people like on YouTube, like these influencers, or I don't want to say influencers, but you know, people that have like a voice on this platform. Yeah. They're like, yo, I'm not even a Trumper, and you know, I don't even like Trump, and this is bullshit. You got some white people at 2 a.m. at Subway out with nooses, bleach, and they recognize a black dude from a TV show that they probably don't even like. It just don't make, like, the whole thing doesn't make sense. And they're like, they're like, people would be like, don't let them fucking sway you. Look at the fucking facts. Like, this isn't right. There's a bunch of people out there like that. They're like, and even comics, like, we know people that I know would look at any chance to fucking go and bash and stuff Trump. A lot of them were like, well, you know.
What was that thing with Covington, those kids?
Oh yeah, the Covington.
I didn't jump to conclusion because I don't, you know, you don't know what happened before and afterwards, you know. So.
No, yeah. So I immediately went up.
What's the fact?
Well, I went and looked. I went on YouTube immediately and looked for people. It was like, you know, I just typed in the Covington kids and stuff, and all of a sudden there's stuff there where guys are like, hey, look, there's a 16-minute, there's a 20-minute, there's a 2-hour-long video. They showed you fucking 30 seconds in a still shot, you know. And so as soon as people were like, look at these videos, and then look at the black Israelites, I was like, okay, this is a total work. So then I go up on Facebook, I'm like, guys, don't let them play you, and they're like, fuck you, duh. And people get all Rudy Pooty and shit.
There still need,
but that they went and sold. They sold that.
Yeah.
They sold that, and now to write it, it'll never be ultimately right, because now you have people. This kid who's suing people like, oh really, like dude, these kids were getting death. They're getting death threats.
Yeah.
Like that kid with that face, he better do something in public for his whole life, because like wherever he goes, he's gonna be known as that fucking kid. He's better take some kind of stance or be a business owner or something.
There's still going to be presumption of innocence, and that's part of your business as well. But the thing that I remember, do you guys remember that Amanda Knox case?
Sounds
How
familiar.
can they my whole thing is, how can they just fucking continually lie on mainstream media and no one gets in trouble? Dude, this like serious shit could have happened with this fucking guy, and the way they fucking fanned the flames and got everybody all worked up on this shit. But sorry, not to, you're asking about the other one, but
she was
it's beside me.
She was a student from Seattle studying Italy, and she was accused of murdering her roommate. And one thing I remember
this.
I remember because I've been to that town in Italy for that case. But I remember they said she was acting weird after her roommate got murdered. She did like what's that thing where kids it's not a gymnastic but Ferris wheel. Like they put your hands and make cartwheel, and she was laughing a lot. Here's the thing: everyone dealing those situations differently. Like. Okay, so you go to somebody's funeral, one person's crying, another person doesn't respond, or, you know what I mean? Like, people suffer differently, you know what I mean? So that kid, to many liberal people, that he's been smirking, but, he's 15, 16 years old kid, and there's a grown-ass Native American guy chanting loud. You don't know how to act, right?
No, exactly. Well, and here's the thing.
So they just assume he was a racist. He's just a kid.
Well, when people were saying that, when I watched even that little bit of video, I was like, dude. The very first thing I said is like, okay, I'm glad it didn't escalate into violence. Everybody was calm, so there's actually nothing that happened there.
Yeah,
nothing happened. But then I was like, if you were beating that fucking drum that close into my face, I would have fucking put my hand up and be like, you can fucking respect the space. You know what I mean? Especially
but if you did that, they said he assaulted an elder.
Yeah. No, I know. And then also,
I think they
and also, but even in that short video, there's a part of it, and they overlooked it, and it's like they could have edited that out because it was long enough. But he tells everybody to no, calm down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the thing is
I don't think he did anything wrong.
No, he did. He did absolutely nothing wrong.
And they proved that the Native American guy was a liar too.
Yeah, he said that they were chanting "build the wall" and all sorts of shit. But there's all sorts. The whole thing, the side of the left and this whole virtue signaling and all this stuff negative towards the kids has been proven and debunked. But the thing is about the kid. His response was, he goes, "I just did the only thing I knew that wouldn't start or ignite any kind of violence or aggression." He goes, and that was just be calm and have like try to have no expression on my face, no threatening expression or anything like that.
Which is smart, like beyond his years.
Yeah. But the thing is the way he said it, he said it like he said it like a smart kid. It didn't seem like he was coached.
Now his class, some of the classmates were being idiots and they were saying something stupid, but he wasn't. He was just standing kind of like, like, what do you do? Like, he was just standing like, I'm a fucking teenager.
Well, so how these kids end up yelling back and going back and forth? It was the black Israelites were yelling at them and all sorts of racist stuff.
Yeah, horrible shit.
So they were like, so there's a couple things. Like I talked with Ty Rivera because this was like right after it happened. I had him on, and it was kind of the thing. Like no one really, it was just coming out that the kids weren't the bad guys.
No.
But the thing was we both looked at it, was like, okay, who booked that event where you have two completely opposite groups in one space at the same time? But the thing was those kids, they were there for fucking the pro-life march.
Yeah, and they're waiting for the ride or something.
And so the bus were pulled up, the only location that they were like supposed to. And I get this because I work with with the buses, with the bus tours, and they have the CDL, and there's shit that you have to legally do.
Yeah.
I guess that was one of the spots where they had to pick up.
It was just unfortunate. They were at the wrong place at the wrong time.
So the thing was, the kids asked for permission if they could do song chants, or sing to drown out those guys yelling at them, calling them fucking, organ harvesters and baby killers and all sorts of shit like that. Like, which was funny because they're there for pro-life, right? But they're saying it, But then the dude, I forget his name, whatever, the guy with the native dude. He goes walking up in between them and walks right over to the fucking kids.
And doesn't he think that those kids are bothering the black group?
And then he said, and in his thing, he's saying, it was terrible what those kids were doing to those young black kids.
Which is funny because those black people, that group was saying horrible shit.
Horrible. No, they are. I mean,
just horrible shit.
Anybody, all you have to do is YouTube black Israelites, and you just listen to how but it's not only like what they're saying, it's the tone. It's a really aggressive, and it's to get people to react. So then when you do attack, no matter win, lose, or draw, they can blame you because all it is just words. Like, you shouldn't have had any reaction, but they're down to fucking throw down. But they say vile shit, like, I'm all for expression stuff, but those dudes pretty much cross the line. They're like the Black Westboro Baptists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're more militant and like outwardly aggressive. They're just not like people who like to protest. They try to incite. They try to get people violent. But so he tried to say that he was protecting the dudes from the kids when actually technically what he was doing was escalating. Luckily, neither side participated, but I mean, when you go and do that,
I gotta get going soon, but
you bang that fucking drum in somebody's face, man. You fucking.
I think the key is not to jump to conclusion.
Yeah, 100%, and that's the whole thing.
Even so-called bad people have a right to defend themselves. Like, we should hear them out.
Well, well, that's one of the things. That's the whole.
You got a ride coming?
Pretty soon, like
Okay.
5-10 minutes.
Okay.
But well, that's the whole thing. The name behind the fucking podcast, ThinkStopper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, don't jump to conclusions. Take a moment, stop and think. Like, that's why a lot of the stuff that I put out there, it might not be comfortable, it might not be politically correct, it might not even be right, but at least it's something to get you to not just go with the fucking with the masses, because that's where all the bad shit happens. Dude,
I don't know a lot about the conspiracy stuff. I'm not against it. I just don't know enough.
It's just psychological thing.
It just, when somebody you don't know or someone, and they bring this conversation that I'm not really in a mood to hear it.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, I don't want to say it because it's a good friend of mine, but I just asked him to pass me the salt, and next thing you know, he's trying to tell him chemtrail stuff for 40 minutes, and I just want to finish my dinner.
See, that's the thing.
I'm not against it. I just want to eat, like,
Yeah, you
See,
gotta,
that's the
gotta
thing
have
is-
that set up.
See, that's the thing is I had to learn you can't do that to people. You can't just start.
There's
like,
a time and place for that.
Well,
It's got to be in the right situation, I think.
I always let people bring it up, and that's another thing about the podcast. It's like I'm not afraid to talk about it, but I don't have to talk about it. Like, because there's this stuff. It's overwhelming for people. People don't have the same enthusiasm or care about it. It freaks some people out.
I just think because there's so many of them. I know number-wise, some of them have to be true, but it's just it's one of those things. Like, there's some subject matters that I wasn't interested when I'm younger. I am interested now, and vice versa. Maybe I'll be interested in a year from now. I don't know. I just don't know enough. But my ex-roommate, man, we had a 4-room, books full from A to Z, conspiracy stuff. And what was funny is he was working for one of richest Jewish family that I know of, and if you go to their office, there are always pictures of, current former Israel prime minister, and their picture with former president and whatnot. And he works for people like that. He definitely doesn't like them, but he used to work for them.
That's
like,
funny.
he's like anti-Zionism. Like, I don't even know what the fucking that means, but like, like, I love the guy. He's a friend of mine, but I just, like I said, I just don't know enough for me to have an honest conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
I just follow sports and shit like that. So, but yeah,
Well, the whole thing is just to capture a good story, a good conversation. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people they put a lot into the whole conspiracy label, but every day,
Like Golf and Tonkin, like everybody saying like,
every day,
they
there's
say like the
it happens
government
on the
knew,
news.
and people are saying bullshit. Then years later, you find out, yeah, they knew.
Yeah.
They in fact set it
Yeah.
up and make it happen. So obviously, there's shit like that. Every crazy idea in the beginning seemed crazy, but you let enough time pass, and there's evidence like, oh, that was true.
Well, I mean, it's been it's been labeled the Hegelian principle, but if you want to change, if you want to make a massive change, and you can't get people on board, you create a problem, you get a reaction, and then you present the solution, and usually the solution was the pre-thought, was the original idea, what you wanted to do. Case in point, the Patriot Act. That was tried to get passed and passed and passed time and time again. And what ends up happening with the Patriot Act? It took fucking 9/11. They shot it down. But as soon as 9/11 happened, they fucking passed it without a blink of an eye. And that circumvented a lot of the majority of our constitutional rights. But let's wrap it up, dude. You got to fucking skedaddle or what?
Even Lincoln violated people's rights. Habeas corpus or whatever you want to call it. You're supposed to have court or whoever have to give permission to arrest you. And
Killed a lot of the media.
Yeah, and of course FDR. With the Japanese American, whatever. But I understand when there's major crisis, the fear on the part of libertarians, the government's going to violate you, and they do try sometimes.
Well, I mean, here's one of the things people look at is like, oh, you're detaining those people. They're probably looking at it like, who out there did we train that looks like that? We just need to round up everybody that looks like that and figure out who we have, what assets in the field. I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. Like, we just need to round up everybody so we can say we have. This is for safety because, you look at a lot of these migrant guys that come back, they're all of military age, and none of these people have families or, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just a little suspect on that.
You got anything you want to plug or what's your,
I mean, I think I'm doing I'm going to show up at the show at Russel Peters Irvine Improv in May. I can't remember the dates, maybe May 3rd, 4th, and 5th or something. But I'm trying to go to Denver April 17, 18, 19, 20th. Mm-hmm. And just look, I don't know if I could stay with my friend, but if somebody won't mind, let me sleep on their couch. I'm going down there for anniversary of Columbine, which is 20th this year. And I might be also might need a place in Beijing, I think June 4th. That's the 30th anniversary of Tiananmen's massacre,
Oh,
because
wow.
I'm going to see Russell film his special in Mumbai June 2nd and 3rd. It's only one quick flight from there to Beijing.
Yeah.
I've never been to China, so I wouldn't mind going there and check it out because I like history, and I can't believe it seemed like it was yesterday, because I think June 2nd and 3rd of 89 was when Ayatollah Khomeini passed away. It's like within a day of that, Tiananmen Square, and like at that time.
Is that where the iconic picture of the guy standing in front of the tank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that. Well, I don't know if that was exactly June 4th, but everything started April 15th of 89 and ended on June 4th with just people getting murdered, Tiananmen Square. And then, and the only other major thing I'm going this year, November 9th, which is the 30th anniversary of Fall Berlin Wall, So like Bill Burr.
It's crazy. I remember
Bill
when
Burr
that
and
happened.
Craig Gass, they planned their comedy trip based on major sports,
Yeah.
I like going to that historical, like something horrible happened, I went to the royal wedding last year in May.
Oh, nice.
And 2 years ago, I went to 500th anniversary of Martin Luther putting 95 theses, 95 complaint to Catholic Church, which started Reformation, And that was really interesting. I was kind of surprised how many Americans were there, but that was such a significant year because within 10, 20 years, printing press was created. So they were able to create so many Bibles, took power away from Catholic Church. And it was, in a many way, printing press was what we're going through right now with internet. Because
100%.
it spread so much pamphlet that
that's
no
when
longer Catholic Church wasn't in control anymore, you know? So you go back 500 years ago, this new technology revolutionized and create all kinds of problems, you know, like culminated in like religious war, which ended in like 1648. 30-year war was basically the religious war. So it's not quite same, but, you know, we are going through this upheaval, you know? So I know a lot of people, I don't hate Trump. I even met him once. It's still a really exciting time because there's so much changes, you know?
Yeah.
And as much as people hate Trump, he's bringing a lot of good change, because I think if Hillary were to win, I think most women would be complacent, like, okay, women won. Because of Trump, so many women want to prove this motherfucker's wrong. So many more women are.
Well, he has like
it's always opposite. Whatever you think is happening, it's opposite result. You know what I mean? Like, so Obama wins, so like, end of racism. Like,
no, it
which is
actually
nuts.
up.
People that actually think, you know, like, no, it brought more shit back. But because Trump is president, I think a lot of positive shit that we don't even notice now, it's going to be surfacing, sir. It's like a seed of hope. You know what I mean? So it's never bad as people think it is. It's never good as you think it is. We're just lucky to live in America. That's all.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I always give thanks and praises to every day, man. That fucking the life I live is a blessed one. It's not like the fucking the starry Hollywood or whatever, the storybook fucking life, but
and we were comedians.
I'm loving it because it could be worse, and I wouldn't like to see it worse.
And we were comedians, and like every time these little sissies and weasel complain about language on stage or saying something horrible, we are very lucky to have this, and free speech is very important, not just for Americans,
all across the board,
across the whole world. And the reason I say that, because as a foreigner, U.S. citizen for the last 20 years, the reason why free speech is so important in this country, because Washington, D.C., every time we have a foreign leaders visiting here, we have people from that country come here and scream at that guy, because you can't do that in their countries. So we give a free place in D.C. to allow these foreigners to scream at their leaders, because this is the only place you could do that. So when these people who listen to comedy complain about languages, like, you should just shut the fuck up, how important it is, because it's not just about you, it's about the rest of the world.
No, 100%.
There's nowhere else in the world you could go flying and complain and scream at. They won't allow that.
The speech that you don't like is the speech that you should protect the most.
Absolutely.
Because that's you. You know what I mean? That's you on the end of, and that's the reason why I got back into took comedy seriously, because I saw that shit was dying. Free speech was dying. Look at Canada. Comedians are getting sued. They had that guy that was heckled by a lesbian and he fucking roasted her, and then she ended up winning like a $50,000 suit. I think he's dragging that shit out or fucking. But could you imagine?
That's a fucking nightmare. That's a fucking.
I can imagine. We getting sued.
Before we wrap up, you want to, what's your social medias and stuff you could plug, and then we'll shut it down.
Yeah. It's not easy to. It's just my first and last name, Yoshi Obayashi, at the Twitter account, I guess. But it's YOSHIO, B as in boy, AYASHI. Yoshi Obayashi, Twitter and Instagram, same thing.
Okay, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, same thing, just your name.
Yeah.
All right,
bam.
let's wrap it up.
Yeah,
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much. You got Easy Bail Bonds, ThinkStopper, Tresmala, all social media.
Same old, same old.
Boo bam. Thanks, guys. Peace.
Mama,